Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the City of Rancho Mirage. This is the City Council, Library Board, Housing Authority Board, and the City Council representing the Redevelopment Successor Agency special meeting, Thursday, July 31st, 2014, and it is now 1:10. So, what a joy to see everyone here, and especially all of our little friends with the four-legged and the two-legged with beaks. So welcome, and we'll start off with our flag salute, and Steve Quintanilla, our city attorney, is going to be leading that.
Thank you. Please begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. And now, Cindy, will you call roll, please?
Yes, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Hobart.
Here.
Councilmember Kite.
Here.
Councilmember Townsend.
Here.
Councilmember Weil.
Here.
And Mayor Smotrich.
Here. Thank you so much. Well, we have a busy agenda today, and we're going to start off with our presentations. Our first presentation is going to be to Mary Perry. If she is here, she is here. Okay, if you'll join me down in front, it is my pleasure. Mary is she's going to be, first of all, giving us updates on the events at the Annenberg Retreat at Sunnylands, and she is the Deputy Director of Communications and Public Affairs. So I will meet you down there as soon as you get finished speaking.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, council members, city workers, and people who just plain love Rancho Mirage. Thank you for once again having me. This will be my final report to the City Council of Rancho Mirage, as today is my last day at Sunnylands. But I will not just walk away from Rancho Mirage. I'm going to be the new Public Information Officer for Desert Sands Unified School District, and of course there are a number of Rancho Mirage children who do attend schools under the Desert Sands District, so I'll look forward to working with you on a new level. But Sunnylands, we're closed at the moment. We're getting ready to be as beautiful as always. So we will reopen on September 25th. Tickets will go on sale, as always, 1st and 15th of every month for the 2 weeks following. So please do get your tickets to come back at the end of September and in the fall. I always tell folks who live here the best time to get tickets is September, October, November, and in the spring, so that there's a little bit more availability for locals at that time. So please do come back. We'll be starting our film series again. We'll have our lecture series, all kinds of wonderful family events. And I do want to introduce you to the person who will be coming to City Hall to report on Sunnylands, and that is Eric Ornelas. So Eric. Eric and I have been working together for a number of years, and I think you'll enjoy his reports as much as you do mine, right?
Yes.
Or as less as you do mine. So Eric?
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I look forward to coming here to City Council and keeping you updated on everything that is happening at Sunnylands. Of course, won't be the same without Mary, but I look forward to working with you all.
Mary, I have a question for you.
Yes, my darling
You
Charlie.
do know everything that's going on in Rancho Mirage, right? Did he buy or did he not buy?
We don't know. It's going to be a surprise to us, too, so I guess you'll have to let me know. So, and Charlie, I have to tell you, I mean,
Yes.
I don't want to be, Mr. Councilman, but my friend Charlie.
You can do Charlie.
This is the first time I've seen you sitting up here, and I'm so impressed. So, congratulations again.
Well, thank you to one of my angels.
I am one of your
You
angels.
are.
And we are impressed also with him sitting up there. Come on over in front, Mary, and I'd like to present you with your certificate of appreciation, which I will let you hold. And it says, Certificate of Appreciation presented to Mary Perry on behalf of the entire City Council of the City of Rancho Mirage, we hereby recognize and appreciate Mary Perry for her outstanding work as Deputy Director of Communications and Public Affairs at the Annenberg Retreat at Sunnylands. Her excellent communication skills and her ability to make everyone feel welcome were matched by her dedication to the mission of the Annenberg Retreat. Working with Mary is always a delight, and we wish her all the very best in her future endeavors. And if you've ever worked with Mary, you know how impassioned she is, and if you want to get a job done, Mary is the one to ask. Thank you so much.
Mary, before you go, I just want to thank you so much for everything you did last year as I was mayor, and our visits with the president, and all your hard work to really make the cultural gala that was held at Sunnylands a big success. So you really built a great partnership between Sunnylands and the city, and we'll all miss you.
And don't forget Businesswoman of the Year from the Chamber of Commerce.
That's right. How lucky we were, and how lucky we still are that she's not going to be going away, and we'll see her whenever possible. Okay, moving on to the next presentation. This will be done by our council member Ted Weil to Ira Laufer. So it is with great pleasure that we welcome Ira. Ira, why don't you come down in front and join Ted? And Ted will say a few words, and there's the plaque down below. So, have a good time.
Thank you. Well, my friend, this is very, very special for me. Ira and I spent a lot of time on the City Council, on the Planning Commission together. Ira has more knowledge than anybody that I know. He has been an inspiration to a number of us. I know that he worked with Randy for many, many years. Ira has an incredible career. He's won 10 Golden Mike Awards for Radio and Television News Directors Association. He's produced several motion pictures starring Reese Witherspoon and Lou Gossett. He's produced an interview program on Time Warner here for a number of years. He has been a city councilman and deputy mayor of Ventura. He's now stepping down from the Planning Commission to do more writing, and frankly, between you and I, he has a script at the moment that's being considered for a movie. So you may be looking at a future star. One of the other things that one of the other people, aside from Randy, is a person by the name of Shauna Perry. And Shauna worked with us a long time. Oh, you agree with that? And Shauna could not resist sending Ira a message. And the message is as follows: if anyone deserved the keys to the city of Rancho Mirage, it is you, Ira Laufer. He has given generously of his time and experience. I was fortunate to have spent 6 years with Ira, and the commission and I cherish the friendship and sense of family. And I think that's how all of us feel. And Randy, you having been with Ira for 14 years, I think that you're well equipped to make your comments.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, Ira, we have worked together for 14 years. In the trenches of the planning department, and all of the great programs and projects that you've been involved with the city of Rancho Mirage. If any of you follow the Planet of the Apes series, I've always called Ira our Dr. Zaius, because he's the wise one that we go to whenever there's a land use dilemma in the city of Rancho Mirage. So thank you for that. Now I tell. Ira had a hand in many important projects for the city of Rancho Mirage. Population of the city grew during that period, probably over 5,000 people, 12,000 to 17,000. He worked on the Ritz-Carlton, he worked on the river, he worked on the Westin, and you'll be happy to know that that assisted living facility that you thought was too large in mass and scale has been reduced from 66 units to 52 units and resubmitted to BUD a couple of weeks ago, so keep an eye on that. Ira has always spoken his mind, but most importantly, he's always reminded the planning commissioners that their duty is to look at the land use and the planning issues, not the policy and economic considerations of a project, which is the duty of the city council. So I just want to thank you for your fine imprints on the city of Rancho Mirage. And some of you might not know, but his son, Rob Loffer, is a rock star and travels with the band Cheap Trick on occasion. And his grandson, Shlomo, is a DJ and headlines a Coachella every year. So anyhow, it's a pleasure working with you.
If I may, this is a certificate of recognition presented to Ira Loffer on behalf of the entire City Council of the City of Rancho Mirage. We hereby recognize Ira Loffer for his 14 years of exemplary service as a member of the Planning Commission, with best wishes for all future endeavors. Iris M. Smotrich, Mayor. Ira, we just can't thank you enough for all of your service.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Randy. The one thing that I always add when somebody says that I was here when we approved the river, when my first year on the Planning Commission, the river parking had already been approved. When I saw it, I couldn't believe it, but it was in concrete and done. In any event, I thank you guys. I am reminded when Martina Navratilova won the women's national singles so many years in a row, it became monotonous. And then one year, she actually lost. I think it was to Chrissy Everett. And when they gave her the plate or cup or whatever the runner-up gets, the people stood and applauded for minutes on end for all she had done. And when it was finished, she said, "My goodness, if I knew this was going to happen, I would have lost earlier." So that's pretty much my words. Thanks for everything. It's been my pleasure. This is a great city. It was great when we got here, and so it's all of our jobs to ensure that it stays great, and it is. Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you, Ira. Thank you, my friend. This is your wood, and that's a plaque that commemorates what I just read, and more than deserving. Thank you, my friend.
I'd rather have a T-shirt, but I'll take it.
Ira, before you go, 14 years ago when we first met, we talked about what you'd be doing for the city in the future. And I've appointed a lot of commissioners to the various commissions here in Rancho Mirage, but by far you are one of the best. You will forever have your imprint on our city as we go into the future, and when people look back and recognize those positive events that were done in the city, we'll know that you had your hand on it. So it's been a great 14 years, and thanks for everything you've done for our city.
And before you leave again, don't leave yet. I echo those comments. You have been one of the leading lights in bringing attractiveness and beauty and landscaping to our community. I've always thought that was your forte, and I received an email that seemed appropriate so that you would understand and the people would understand the hard work that people like Ira put into making this a beautiful city, and how some residents respond. This is an email dated July 28th. To whom it may concern, and by the way, I don't subscribe to this, I just want to point out how we get rocks thrown at us, and since you've been such a valuable part of this, you get hit with one of the pebbles here. To whom it may concern, I live in Rancho Mirage and would like to know who is the bonehead that decided to plant those stupid trees and shrubs in the middle of all of our streets. We don't need them. Then, on the evening news, we are constantly reminded to conserve water. How much water has been wasted watering this ridiculous project of yours? Typical moron politicians. You probably spend your days dreaming up ways to waste our water and our taxpayers' money. Why the H do we need these stupid trees and plants? Let's try to conserve spending our money and water. Signed, an annoyed resident. So your work is appreciated and disdained. Into the microphone sideways.
I don't know, it's open, okay. When I was on the State Coastal Commission, we're a party to turning down a application for a nuclear plant that would have destroyed half the fishes in the Pacific Ocean. It later came back approved when they fixed it. But in the meantime, when it was denied, a letter writing campaign began, as only somebody like Southern California Edison could do. And we received, each of us who voted no on the project, hundreds of almost mimeographed the exact same letter, except for one that I'll always remember. With one simple little typewritten. It says, "When I'm sitting in my cold, dark room, may you rot in hell, you dirty son of a bee."
Thank you so much, Ira. And thank you, Ted, for the presentation and all the beautiful words. He certainly deserves them. Well, this is quite a memorable day that's starting out here. We have another presentation, and you've probably all been wondering where all these beautiful animals come from, and the gal that brought them is Lindy Bidgie, our wonderful Lindy Bidgie. And while Dana is going down to present the proclamation, I just wanted to make sure that everyone also knows that Lindy is an amazing person, as you can see. She does things for animals that some of us think about, some of us talk about, but very few of us really ever get around to doing them. And Lindy is the person who gets these things done. In fact, she has absolutely made animal care and preservation a career. And we are so proud of her, and we're so proud that she is in our Coachella Valley. Thank you. So come on up, Lindy. Dana's going to meet you down there.
Bring whomever, bring your crew, all of them. By the way, while you have your hands virtually empty, no, they're not empty yet.
Woo!
Remind me, this is our gift to you. It's a Rancho Mirage portable doggy bowl, water bowl, and a leash with Rancho Mirage written all over it. So I'm going to give that to. In fact, why don't I just toss this over here? There we go. Well, Lindy, you have been identified by our mayor, and if you turn around and let everybody just see how beautiful you are. Lindy Bidgie has done more for saving animals, neutering animals, protecting animals in the Coachella Valley than any other single person. She is the founder of Saving All Animals, and you see the ladies here who are part of the Saving All Animals team, and we're going to introduce you to some of the dogs that we have here, because I rather assume they're all available for adoption, except...
in some cases, I'm like you, I'm a foster failure.
You know, foster failure, well, they asked Vicki and me to... we have 2 dogs. They asked us to foster one other dog. We didn't know it at the time, but the dog pulled a fake seizure. And so we realized that the dog that you guys had laid off on us that nobody would take it with a history of seizure. So that was a year or so ago. The dog hasn't had a seizure since. That's why I know it was an acting job. Another female working her way into our family. We thank you for that, though. She's been wonderful. That's Lola. Anyway, I'd like you to talk a little bit, Lindy, if you would, about Saving All Animals, what you do, and some of the projects that you're thinking about doing, and what some of your dreams are. Maybe introduce us to this fellow that I can't pet, but you can kiss. I saw you could get a kiss. Would you bring us up to date on where you are and what's going on?
I sure will. First of all, I have to make a big, huge correction. Lindy BG, as herself, has done absolutely zero. You guys are the ones that are doing it. You are the community. The people that I am surrounded with are doing it. Together, we are going to become a no-kill Coachella Valley. And for my heart and soul, Rancho Mirage is what I call the love city. This is where it started, where we got support. You can imagine what it was like when we went and said we wanted to use somebody's park and bring in 500 homeless animals. We couldn't catch the people as they were running out the door. Rancho Mirage welcomed us, and I will always thank you, and I thank you for giving us Steve over there to work with, because you were fabulous. And we've had the hostess with the mostest has been Rancho Mirage, and in the Rancho Mirage Community Park, we've had over 500 dogs come each year for 4 years and be there, and half or more have gotten adopted. And for you, thank you. And we will be doing it again November 14th and 15th, and I hope you will come. We're going to be doing some more additional fun things. We're going to have microchipping, vaccinating, and licenses so you can bring your own dogs and get them taken care of. And hopefully you will fall in love with the dog that's there, or a cat. We're going to have lots of cats there too. And quickly, I'm going to introduce Lynn. Will you stand up? How many of you, have you seen this picture that we've been circulating? This.
I think I pretty much showed you what it is. Now it's been a walk-on picture. This dog is one of That's white here. I'll take a picture for us.
Thank you. Thanks, Dana. This is a Shih Tzu. They are the most forgiving, loving animals, proof of which is that photograph that you saw. The dog had been absolutely neglected along with 35 others. They had never been groomed. They were laying in their own filth. We rescued her. She has been shaved down. She is absolutely the most loving dog. So this is a 3-year-old Shih Tzu up for adoption. It's part of what we do at Loving All Animals. Thank you, Vanna. Why anyone interested in adopting this little Piper dog can call us at 760-834-7000 or log on to lovingallanimals.org or stop me on the way out and I will absolutely fill out an adoption application for you. So thank you. Thanks, Dana.
And we'd like to remind you that if somebody does adopt this little pup, or any of the other pups that we'll quickly introduce you to, the City of Rancho Mirage picks up the adoption tab up to $100 per animal. So feel free to take a dog home. And as I like to say, if in your secret heart of hearts, you know that you've just not been getting enough loving, we've got some options for you right here.
And then I'd like to bring up Janet McAfee, who heads up our Mobile Mutts program. And some of you have probably seen our limo that was donated to us going up and down the street, where we take people to shelters. Now, we are Loving All Animals, but we support any and every animal organization in the Coachella Valley or every individual. There is no competition here. We are all comrades, so we help them all. These two little guys, we actually have 3 of them, but they are really, really active. Janet, why don't you I hold.
Great, okay. These 2 adorable little dogs are 2 from, we've got 3 of them left. We've got a little boy and 2 little girls. This is Chelsea in the little yellow, and this is little Marlin in the little sailor suit. They were all part of a group that were dumped at the county shelter. They were underage at the time, and as you may know, the shelter staff can't do the bottle feeding that underage puppy needed. So we were contacted. One of our staff people went up and rescued them, and they've been with us ever since. 2 of them are adopted, but these 3 are absolutely adorable, and they're looking for homes. They're fabulous. So give us a call. Again, that number is 834-7000. Thank you.
And then quickly, I will just show you where foster failure, what that means is, and incidentally, we are desperately looking for fosters. The more fosters we have, the more animals we can get out of the kill shelter. And boy, if you or anybody you know can foster the animals, it could be short-term, long-term, please get a hold of us. We need you. I fostered at different times. What you're looking at there is baby love, which my husband calls radar, because some fool kicked her eyes out. She has no eyes at all. She is totally, totally blind, but she is totally focused on all the love that surrounds her. So she didn't really want to die. This is Cassidy, is in Hopalong. And Cassidy was brought to us from a volunteer at the shelter, and the volunteer's job was to take him to the room where they would put him down because he had a bum leg. Now he is a three-legged dog, and he can get anywhere and do anything, and he loves being alive. So these are the kinds of animals. These are the imperfect ones. But like the Shih Tzu, she's purebred. There's 30% of the animals that are being put to sleep are purebred. So, I mean, if you're into a purebred, let us know. We'll find you one. On the bird world, I think probably most of you know that I have a sanctuary for birds, and I have 50 exotic birds at my house. Birds live to be 100 years old. So a lot of people don't last as long as their birds, not to mention sometimes the birds just kind of eat their way out of their home, like the window casings and stuff like that. But like little Chico back there, he could very easily be 60, 70 years old. I have no idea.
Is Chico visible on some camera?
Here, Chico. Yeah. Hey, Chico. These birds, the reason I was telling Dana not to really maybe go after this guy, they have 5,000 pounds of pressures in their beak, so you do kind of watch it. So anyway, please, you're very lucky to be living in Rancho Mirage. You're living in the best little town in the world. Chico, what do you think up there? There again, one of the things about birds, and which is why I invited Dana to take that bird, because birds aren't as quick to make friends as dogs are. But some birds have very strong opinion. That bird, that in particularly, loves tall men. So I wasn't too worried. So anyway, I thank everybody for what you're doing, and I thank everything for what you're going to do. And I wanted to thank you guys. And I don't know if you see it up there, but we brought you a little gift. It's sweet and hot mustard that is manufactured by my husband, who is sitting back there. And trust me, it takes a lot of horseradish and mustard to pay for all these animals.
Before we let you go, we'd like to give you this proclamation. Lindy, I'll read it quickly. Much has been said, but much remains to be said. Lindy Bishi has been an avid supporter of animals since she purchased her second home in the Coachella Valley 30 years ago and created a sanctuary for exotic birds. And whereas during the past 30 years, Lindy has become a staunch supporter of microchipping pets so they can be returned to their owners. During the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, she brought 27 dogs to our valley and housed many at Animal Samaritans. Due to the fact that one dog had been microchipped, it was returned to its owner. And whereas after the closing of the Indio shelter, Lindy held various adoption events to find homes for all 136 animals that could have been left behind. And for the past 5 years, she has brought together 30 or more other organizations for the Super Adoption Festival held at Whitewater Park, now called Rancho Mirage Community Park. In honor of her passion for animals, Pets on Parade presented Lindy Bishi with the Circle of Life Award on July 13th at a luncheon held at the Desert Princess Hotel Grand Ballroom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Iris Smotrich, Mayor of the City of Rancho Mirage, on behalf of the entire City Council, does hereby proclaim Lindy Bishi Day, July 31, 2014.
I still say it's not me, it's all of you. Thank you.
I hate the thought of you guys leaving and the enjoyment of the moment dissipating as you walk out, but it's been a pleasure. We hope to see you all again soon. And you, next time, I'm gonna get bit.
Thank you.
Well, you survived the birds.
It's a big beat. Thank you, Lindy. And thank you to everyone that came with Lindy and that is so involved with all the good work they're doing. Lindy and her whole group are working very diligently to make sure that the Coachella Valley becomes a no-kill valley, and that will be so appreciated, and that hopefully all the animals will get adopted and get into loving homes. Some of you may not realize it, and I didn't realize it till recently, that the city of Rancho Mirage is being asked if we would stand as a role model for all the other cities when it comes to animal care and the prevention of animal cruelty. So the SPCA in the Los Angeles area is working to make sure that we are recognized as a city that loves all animals. Thank you so much. Okay, we have one more presentation, and that is something that Charlie will probably want to talk about. So why don't you take it?
I certainly will. I'd like to invite the Coachella Valley Water District, Patty Reyes, to give us a presentation, a special program, and she is the manager of the Coachella Valley Water District, so it's yours.
Well, I'm not quite the manager, but thank you. I'm planning in special programs. I've been there about 27 years, and I've done some construction projects through the city of Rancho Mirage and still have a good relationship with your staff. So, I have slides. So I want to talk, you can go to the next slide, thank you. I want to talk about three things. I'm going to try and respect time and go quickly, but I want to tell you about our Integrated Regional Water Management Program, and then our CV Water Counts Program. And finally, before I leave, I just want to talk to you about the recent State Water Resources Control Board emergency drought regulations and how we're responding. So Integrated Regional Water Management is a program that was developed by the state, and if regions work together to approach water issues, we qualify for funding from the state. And the two logos up there, you can see the State Water Resources Control Board and Department of Water Resources logo. They encourage these programs because they're stakeholder collaboration based. Next slide, please. And so the 5 water agencies in the Coachella Valley got together in 2008, formed a group. You can see our logos at the bottom. Mission Springs is the Desert Hot Springs area. Desert Water Agency serves Palm Springs. Coachella Valley Water District serves Rancho Mirage. And Indio Water Authority and Coachella Water Authority serve their own cities. And we started the planning process. We formed a region. You can see our region is the Coachella Valley. Next slide, please. And these are all of our stakeholders. And in yellow, it shows Rancho Mirage. We meet quarterly. You're represented generally quarterly. Billy Innes attends. And our stakeholders are all of the cities, all of the tribes, all of the nonprofits that have water interest in the Coachella Valley, the resource agencies in the county, and anyone else. The golf courses, for example, are a big stakeholder. And like I said, this qualifies us for funding. So Prop 84 was a $1 billion grant. $36 million came to Southern California. We compete with that against Imperial County and Mojave County. And so far, we've been very successful, and we've gotten $10 million for the Coachella Valley. We used $1 million to complete our plan. We've used $9 million on projects like septic to sewer conversions, the Mid-Valley Pipeline, our non-potable water program that provides water to golf courses. And we have $1 million for conservation, and we're asking for more. Next slide, please. So with our $1 million, we've been able to do ETO clock rebates and turf rebates, but we're also doing a lot of outreach, and we have a website, cvwatercounts.com. And the reason we have this website is we hired a research agency to do polling, and they polled a representative group of Coachella Valley residents, and only about 60% of them knew who their water district was. It was shocking. So we thought, we need to find a way for people to learn who they can go to get help with water conservation. So on our website, they can put their address in, it'll tell them who their district is, and it'll take them to that district's website to find out what rebate programs are. You can just go through these quickly. What rebate programs are available to them, and there's a lot of other information. You can keep going. Available on that website. Next slide. Next slide. We monitor our demographics as well. If you click in the middle of this, we're also doing a lot of advertising. Can you go back? If you click in the middle of this slide, thank you. This is something that you might see if you go to the river. We do. Oh, the sound isn't up. It has the. If only she had taken a shorter shower. So if you go to the river, you might see that before the movie, and we're in a lot of local publications as well. So we're really trying to brand ourselves so that we can show that water conservation in the Coachella Valley is really important. Next slide, please. So please add us to your homepage, like us, have your friends like us on Facebook. Use our conservation materials. I brought some today, and I'm leaving some with staff to put on the front counter. We have a magnet that tells about CV water counts. We have a drought irrigation guide so that if you're not sure how to set your sprinklers during the drought, you can find this both on CV water counts and at cvwd.org. And then we have information on how to save water indoors as well. Next slide, please. And then I'm almost finished. I hope I'm not taking too long. As you know, California is in the worst drought in the history of the state. And in January, the governor issued a drought declaration, and he asked us to voluntarily, immediately reduce our water use. And that didn't really happen. So the State Water Resources Control, but let me back up by saying we tried. We adopted a resolution in support. We increased funding for our conservation programs at CVWD, and we now have a task force to work with the golf courses valley-wide, and they're very interested in having a positive water use image, and they're working to cut their use 10%. And that's a lot for golf courses because they're already very efficient. Next slide. So the state isn't happy with the progress that's being made, so they, on July 15th, issued a formal prohibition. And so it is now illegal in the state of California to apply water to concrete. You can't hose off your driveway. You can't water your landscape in such a way that excessive runoff occurs into the street. You can't use a hose to wash your car or your windows unless there's a shutoff valve on it. And all fountains have to be recirculating, which I think generally in the Coachella Valley they are. Next slide. In addition to that, they are requiring all water agencies in California to go to their first mandatory stage in their water shortage contingency plans. These are plans that we update every 5 years. We're required to have them. We submit them to the state every 5 years. And our first mandatory stage is stage 2, and it's a 10% reduction. And the state will be monitoring us monthly. We have to submit our gross pumping and our population to the state every month. They have not said that they're going to penalize us, but they will be monitoring us. And so how CVWD is responding. At our board meeting on the 12th, we're going to adopt our emergency water shortage contingency plan via an ordinance. And in that ordinance, we're also going to require that our homeowners, our customers, limit outdoor irrigation to the hours between dusk and dawn, follow our drought irrigation guide that I brought today that is actually 20% less water than our normal irrigation guide. We will have a window of time for overseeding because that's important to our economy. We only are going to allow 24 hours for broken sprinklers to be repaired, which that should be happening already anyway. And we're requesting restaurants to only serve water when asked, and hotels to post messaging in the hotel rooms asking our guests to conserve as well. We're also working with the cities on not enforcing, but encouraging Coachella Valley residents to follow this ordinance. We met with the city managers just earlier this week. Randy Binder was there, and so was Bruce Harry, and they're very positive toward this process and planning on helping us implement, but we're not going to enforce, no punitive results. We're going to go out and work with our customers. If our customers are excessive and they're not working with us, then the penalty will be a penalty on their water bill. So if you have any, I think that might be my last slide. If you have any questions about CV water counts, IRWM, or this upcoming drought ordinance, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you so much, Patty. Is there anyone on the council that wishes to ask any questions?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you very much.
And everyone knows that if you want to get more information, please don't hesitate to contact the Coachella Valley Water District. Okay.
To compliment the city on what you've done for water conservation. And as I was driving up Highway 111, I think your medians look beautiful. And I think the landscaping in front of City Hall looks beautiful as well. And it's a great example of use of artificial turf, and the desert landscaping is really well done. Thank you.
And thank you, Patty. But before you go, maybe you could just answer one of my questions. Are you noticing any difference in the golf courses? I know we love to have all that green grass, but are many of the golf courses getting into the more desert look?
They are trying. We're actually, through this IRWM program, we're applying for a grant to have turf rebates for golf. They are very interested in removing turf. Because they're so efficient, they're really going to have to remove turf to reduce water use. And that's expensive, but the positive thing about it is it lowers their maintenance costs. They have tried, some of them have tried to go brown in the areas that are out of play, and there needs to be more education to our tourist industry on that. I know that golf course superintendents' jobs are not real secure, and they're very reluctant to do things that could jeopardize them with their clubs. And so, hopefully because of this drought and some of the programs we have, there'll be more acceptance for other methods that they can use to save water, like letting the areas out of play go brown and removing turf. But they are very interested, and they're worried about their long-term viability as an industry, and so they do want to do what's right.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work working with all these agencies. Okay, well, now we're going to be moving on to non-agenda public comments, and this is an opportunity for the public to speak on issues that are not on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. And for the people that are coming up to speak, I would ask you to please state your name clearly and also the city in which you live. So, first on the list is Steve Rado. Welcome. Maybe you could pull the microphone down so we can hear you clearly?
You're saying I'm short?
No, I'm just saying the microphone is high.
Just kidding. My name is Steve Rado. I live in Rancho Mirage, have for 10 years.
Come a little closer, please.
And I received on the 28th administrative citation. This citation was for bougainvilleas in the back of my wall running down Parkview that were either too big, bushy, or called a fire hazard. Last year was the first out of the 10 years I've lived here to be notified that I should do something about them. I cleaned them up last year in the given time I was given. This year, I got a citation. On the 25th, they wrote it up. On the 28th, I was notified. On the evening of the 28th, I hired a gardener for $400. I was going to pull them all out, not have anything there, conserve water. Good day to do that. And today, I was hearing some noise in the back of the wall. I drove around. The city had hired somebody to clean it up for me. And I said, this is a little premature. I've got till the 5th. So I asked the gardener, how much are you charging for this? And he says, well, you and your neighbor, which my neighbor had it done for $200 yesterday. They didn't like what was done, so they redid it. He doesn't know it. Today, I hear this, and I see this guy doing it. He says it's going to cost $400. My gardener's going to do it for $200. Pull everything out for $400. So I'm a little upset, didn't know what to do about it, ran down here and thought I would present this to you and see where should I go from here. This was premature. I had till the 5th of August to get this done. Why would the city send somebody down to clean it up for me and charge me twice as much?
Okay, thank you. Randy, do we have anyone that can answer that?
Mr. Rado, the city did send a crew out there to do it, but we have a budget for that. You will not be billed for that. That is not a fine. What that is a request for you to do the work, and if you do the work within the allotted time, there is no fine or citations. And I've been talking with our code manager, Sandra Johnson. We will be rewriting that letter to make it clearer that it's not intended as a fine, it's intended as a reminder to maintain the landscaping. The intention of the city is not to be heavy-handed and fine people. The intention is to have you keep your land looking nice. So I'm sorry if it came across that way, but we appreciate the work that you did, and you will not be billed for the work that the city did. We have a budget for that.
Okay. Now, should I pull these plants out or should I leave them be?
I would leave them be, but if you want to pull them out, that's your prerogative.
Is the city going to take care of these yearly, or am I going to continue to get a notice? A little early to ask that, or?
Wait till next year. You take care of your own plans.
I do.
And then you won't have anything to worry about from the city.
Well, I don't want to continue to have to take care of
Well, he's telling
this.
you what the policy is. You won't be bothered next time. You take care of them.
Yes.
I think I get it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
I agree with Ira. This is a great city.
Thank you. We all agree too. Okay, next on the list is Brad Anderson. Please come forward and state the city in which you live. And
Hello,
speak
Hello, my name is Brad Anderson. I live in the city of Rancho Mirage. Thank you for hearing me today. I just on the last meeting we had, or your last council meeting of July 17th, I believe it was, I brought up an issue about the city manager handling the appeal process for the city of like this person's citation. If he wanted to appeal it, he would go through the city manager now. And my belief that it should go, nothing against Mr. Binder, but I think this would be a third party or another avenue for that, where it's not under the city's control. I just believe that maybe, I know Mr. Binder, if he's a good city manager, he'll have his hands in everything. He'll know what's going on in the city. And so that's going to corrupt him in a way that he wouldn't be able to, I believe, see the just out. I can't explain it clearly, but I think a third-party attorney would be the right thing to do in that case.
May I just make a comment?
Yes, please.
You just saw Mr. Binder, who had the authority to keep a $400 fine in place, act as a third-party arbiter
Right.
And he did the right thing. He didn't
did.
stay with staff. He didn't stay with the sort of layout that you are envisioning.
Right.
Why don't you give it a chance and let's see how it works.
I just think I agree, but I think Mr. Binder probably has a lot of other activities
He
too.
doesn't have anything else.
Nothing else to do. Okay. Well, that's up to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Okay, the next person on the list is Jack Srebnick and Tom Floud. Welcome to City Hall.
Welcome.
And
I don't want to correct you, but it's Jack Srebnick and Todd Flood, but it's okay.
Okay, I got new glasses.
No, you're doing good.
Okay. Tell us what city you are presently residing.
Palm Desert.
Okay.
Okay, but we work in Rancho Mirage.
Right.
I own the Slice Pizzeria in Rancho Mirage by the Rancho 16 movie theater. Todd and I are partners in Maracas. The reason we're here today is, first of all, I got to tell you something. My mama always told me never come up and speak publicly after children or pets. So I'm really happy you put some buffers in there. The reason we're here is it's come to our attention that there is a sign banner program in Rancho Mirage. And we're not fighting the banner program in Rancho Mirage. We just think that maybe it could be a little outdated. We've had a banner up in Maracas that said we were voted the best happy hour in the valley. Just to let you know, the vote was 2-0 unanimous because we voted, but we put it up, and it really helped business. We got a phone call a couple weeks ago on a Wednesday night or whatever, and they said, you have to take the banner down by tomorrow within 24 hours or else you'll be fined. Well, coming from New York, I said, well, let's call and find out what the fine is and all that stuff. And the fine is $100 a day. And this is with no notice. This is what has to be done. We took the banner down. Now, first of all, the banner was secured to the building. It was not blowing in the wind. It was a very nice banner. Our problem that we have is, as we know, we live in a city, the most beautiful city in the world. We work in this most beautiful city in the world. But come the summer, there's a lot of people that aren't here. And all we want to do is generate enough income to keep our workers working and to be able to pay taxes to this beautiful city. So what we're asking is maybe we look at the banner program. Maybe we can change the banner program to, if you want to put up a banner, it can go to a review board to make sure that we're not just putting up cardboard, eat here. But we want to establish a relationship with the city that we're not being penalized, and it was a threatening call. We saw the banner up, we want it down in 24 hours. And the same thing, my landlord has a building that hasn't been leased in 5.5 years that we're there, and there's a beautiful banner up there that says, your name here, for 5.5 years. He's never got a phone call yet. So what Todd and I are doing, we're coming to ask the council, is there any way or what's the avenues to sit down and let's make a friendly banner program so that we can help the businesses that are in Rancho Mirage continue to flourish. In turn, dollars come to you. Thank you for your time. I have never done anything in 3 minutes, so this is pretty good.
Thank you, Jack.
All right.
Let me say this, that I appreciate you coming. The city is very business friendly, and I assure you that we will take a very hard look at the banner program and do whatever we can to assist you and the others. That's our obligation as being on the council, because we generate obviously tax revenue that keeps the city running properly. So if there's something that we can do to accommodate you and be consistent with the program, I assure you that we will do that. We'll ask the city manager to get involved with that immediately. We have guidelines, and maybe there's something that can be done during the summer months to get you through that. There's nothing set in cement, and we indeed will take a look at that.
Thank you so much, Ted. and thank you for coming to the council meeting. We have another speaker right in our audience here, Mike Tradman. Welcome to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you, Iris. It's Mike Tradman. I live in Rancho Mirage, and I'm the president of the Mira Vista at Mission Hills HOA. And although my question, I made a mistake on the question, but just really it's an inquiry from our homeowners. We've seen some people walking along and markings on the ground on Dinah Shore around Los Alamos. And it looks like some action is happening over there, and we're curious as to, and maybe Bruce you would know, but what's happening in that area, please.
Go right ahead, Bruce.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that's probably something to do with Section 24 development, which is that piece in the county there, just to the east of your development. They've been doing some work out there with regards to environmental. They're looking at some type of a development there, so there might be some surveying going on or something like that. Were these markings like targets, X's in the street?
Yeah, they're on the street. The red markings on the street, on the pavement.
Yeah.
It almost looked like they were trying to maybe get rid of those electrical wires or such.
No, the wires aren't going anywhere. It's probably utilities marking. Maybe they're going to be doing some potholing. They could be calling Underground Service Alert to have utilities mark their location. So it has to do with certainly with Section 24, that vacant property to the east of you there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, that's the end of our public comments. Is there anyone in the audience that did not fill out a yellow card and would like to speak anyway? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 17th. Council comments? Okay. Yes, we need to have council comments if there are any, because we have a lot to say up here.
Well, if I may be the first. Your daughter, Melanie, Melanie Smotrich King, wanted me to make the following announcement. I said I would during council comments, but if you want to tell your daughter, Melanie, that you didn't allow it.
I would never do that.
I didn't think so.
Not to my daughter.
Okay. The Puppy Mill Task Force of the U.S. Humane Society has announced their drive to crack down on puppy mills. They ask the concerned people everywhere report any known puppy mills that are in their neighborhood. They've asked you to report it to a given phone number, which I'm going to repeat right now. 1-877-645-5847. That's also 1-877-MILL, M-I-L-L, TIP, T-I-P. Puppy mills are something that are very close to my wife and me. We have a dog by the name of Jocko, who is a Brussels Griffon, who came to us from a puppy mill in San Diego. We received a call about he was being shifted from the puppy mill to the animal shelter where he was going to be put down. He'd been used for breeding for about a year to a year and a half, and they were dumping him. Make a long story short, we took the dog. We had to keep a 20-foot leash on the dog when it was in our yard because otherwise we couldn't get close to him. The dog was totally freaked out by the concept of human touch. Whatever had happened to him had obviously been extremely brutal. When he was in the house, we had to keep him on a 6-foot leash so we could catch him. And before we learned that we had to have a leash on him, we'd have to trap him in a corner, and it was not easy because he was frightened to death at everything that happened. We've had him now for about 4 years. He's now 5.5. This morning, I was holding one of our other dogs, and Jocko came over to me. I was seated and holding the other one, Rosie. And Jocko stood in front of me and looked up, and he wagged his tail. I put Rosie down. I picked up Jocko just to hold him. This is the first time that he voluntarily was held by me or anybody. No, I think Vicky, I don't know if he's ever approached her like that, but at any rate, was the first time that I had ever been asked by the dog to have a close, touching relationship. Puppy mills are outlawed in Rancho Mirage. People who run them, and if you have any idea that you think you know what a puppy mill is, Google or go to YouTube and just put in puppy mills, and you'll see movies or film clips that were surreptitiously taken, and you'll see what a puppy mill is all about. And you would not buy a dog from a puppy mill. In Rancho Mirage, they can't open a store to sell puppy mill dogs in Rancho Mirage. At any rate, let me repeat that number. If you know where there's a puppy mill, you should report it, because I can promise you they're treating whatever animals they have in a most inhuman, disgraceful, mean, harmful way. The phone number again is 1-877-645-5847. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana. And I have to clarify that when I said that I would definitely not want to pass over anything that my daughter requested that you do, she is the most strongest person I know, besides you and Lindy BG and Vicky, when it comes to animal rights. And she is doing everything in her possible way to make sure that animals are treated properly. And it's been a joy to see the work that she has done to make sure that animals are not harmed. And as Dana said, when you see what a puppy mill really is, even though so many people want to have a pedigree dog, you become a lot more sensitive to maybe rescuing a dog and making a new home for a loving dog. So thank you so much. Richard, did you have any comments?
No, thank you.
Ted? Charlie?
Good, thank you.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on to the minutes. And we're going to ask for approval. If anyone would like to make a motion.
I will make
And
a
a
motion
second?
to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Okay, motion carries 5-0. And now moving on to our consent calendar. So Randy, will you tell us about our consent calendar, and if anyone wishes to pull an item for further discussion, please do so now. Hearing no pulling motion, so we'll move on, and Randy can tell us about it.
Well, are there any people who have asked to speak on item number 5?
I'll move that we pull item number 5.
I would too,
Okay.
because there may be somebody here who'd like to speak on that subject.
Okay, there are, okay.
That's what I thought.
We have a few of them here. Okay, then we will officially pull item number 5, and these people can make an appearance up at our podium. So can we go ahead, Randy, and you can tell us about the rest?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. In addition to number 5, if we can pull 7 and 8, I'd like the staff members that wrote those reports to make a brief presentation on those. Item number 1 on your consent calendar is to waive full reading of every ordinance adopted pursuant to the consent calendar. Item number 2 is a receive and file quarterly treasurer's report for the quarter ending June 30th, 2014. Thank you to the Finance Department for bringing that forward on a timely basis per the policy. Appreciate that. Item number 3 is a mid-year budget adjustment to the license tax fund for the purchase and installation of 4 vehicle speed feedback signs that will be placed in the Rancho Mirage Cove, specifically on Mirage Road and Indian Trail. This is a collaborative effort between the city's Traffic Safety Commission and the Rancho Mirage Community Association. That's a mid-year adjustment for the amount of $60,000. Item number 4 is second reading of an ordinance that would amend Chapter 3 of the Municipal Code regarding Public Works piggybacking projects. Number 5 we've pulled. Number 6 is the last appointment to a commission. This is an appointment by Mayor Pro Tem Hobart to nominate B.B. Cortez to the Emergency Preparedness Commission. 7 is pulled. Sean Smith will make that presentation. Number 8, Isaiah Hagerman will make this presentation. And number 9 are contracts. And item number 10 are demands, and we're here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Randy. Okay, why don't we go back to item number 5? And
If you'd like, I'll go ahead and move the approval of items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, and 10.
okay, go ahead, and then we'll have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote. Okay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Okay, now we'll go back to item number 5. And
Michael Solangi.
Excuse me, is the second reading of the vacation rental ordinance, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have about that.
Do you want to highlight the changes that are being proposed?
Certainly. The first changes that are proposed to be are on page 5.3 of your packet. It is under property and responsible person. The age of the responsible person is being recommended to change from the age of 21 to the age of 30. Continuing on to page 5.4, under vacation rental certification, paragraph B, vacation rental certificate must be renewed on an annual basis in order to remain valid. The changes to this will be that the payment of the application fee for renewal of the vacation rental certification must be remitted on an annual basis in order for the renewed vacation rental certification to be valid. Failure to obtain a renewed vacation certification prior to this, subsequent rental of the subject unit shall result in a $200 fine for each day the violation occurs.
I think you skipped the middle.
I'm sorry?
I think you skipped the middle sentence that should be read, starting with the word payment.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry, Danny. You're right. This middle sentence of the proposed changes is as follows. Payment of the renewal application fee shall be paid before a renewal certificate may be approved and before the vacation rental unit may be subsequently rented. The next proposed change is on page 5.5 of your packet. Under 7B, the vacation rental certificate and annual renewal applications shall be accompanied by an application fee established by resolution of the City Council. The next recommended revision is on page 5.7, item C. It is as follows. More daytime occupants may be permitted on any given day of occupancy only if a special event permit is issued prior to the day of the event pursuant to Chapter 5.12 Special Events Permit. If there are any more than the authorized number of occupants present on the property during any time the city determines any violation of this chapter exists, at said property, the applicable fine shall be doubled. Moving on to page 5.8 of your packet. Item F, no radio, receiver, musical instrument, phonograph, compact disc player, loudspeaker, karaoke machine, sound amplifier, or any machine, device, or equipment that produces or reproduces any sound shall be used outside or be audible from the outside of any vacation rental unit at any time unless otherwise permitted by a special events permit issued by the city pursuant to Chapter 5.12 Special Events Permit. I should note that the only significant change to item F is the striking of the hours between 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. On to page 5.9, K. Due to the neighborhood privacy concerns and potential risks of bodily harm, accidental death, and other safety concerns, standing, sitting, sleeping, laying, walking, or running on the roof of any vacation unit is prohibited. I should say that that was lying, not laying. Violation of this prohibition shall result in the immediate removal of all occupants and guests from the subject property. Continuing on in your packet, page 5-9, or 10, excuse me. R, no on-site vacation rental advertising shall be permitted in or upon any part of the real property that contains a vacation unit. This prohibition is necessary due to the safety concerns associated with the potential burglaries, theft, trespassing, and other property-related crimes which may result from on-site advertising of the availability of a residential unit as a vacation rental that is vacant and includes valuable personal items such as, but not limited to, furniture, appliances, stereo equipment, televisions, etc., for use by prospective occupants or guests of a vacation rental unit. On to page 513 of your packet, continuing with the recommended revisions. Section 3.25.095 violations special. A, occupation not possessing a required special event permit. If a complaint regarding the condition, operation, or conduct of occupants of a vacation rental unit which constitutes a violation of this chapter is reported to the owner's authorized agent or local contact person, the city's law enforcement agency, or the city's code compliance division that involves an event, activity, or conduct that required a special event permit which has not been obtained or issued, the city may impose a fine of $1,000 on any person who committed, caused, maintained any such violation, including, but not limited to, any occupant, reasonable party, owners, or the owner's authorized agent or representative. B, 2 or more violations. Multiple violations at any given vacation rental unit may result in the following. 1, a 6-month revocation of the subject vacation rental permit or a 6-month ban on the rental of the subject vacation rental unit. 2, a permanent ban on the rental of the subject vacation rental pursuant to an order issued by a court of competent jurisdiction. And 3, notification to all record owners of all property within 200 feet of the subject vacation rental unit of any imposed ban. That concludes the proposed recommendations.
I have a question. Can we go back to page 5.3? And responsible person means an occupant of a vacation rental unit who is at least 30 years of age.
That is correct, Councilman.
There seems to be some confusion that some people think that everybody has to be 30. So can we elaborate on that?
Yes, I'll be happy to explain that. This simply means that, the only change to this particular section is the increase from the age of 21 as the responsible party to the age of 30. The responsible party has always been the individual who is on the contract of the rental of the vacation home. It does not prohibit anyone from under the age of 30 being allowed as an occupant.
Does that person have to be there at all times?
Yes, the responsible party needs to be on property at all times.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlie and Michael.
You're welcome.
Anyone on the council?
Madam Mayor, just a point to the city attorney before we get on to testimony. Steve, if we wish to change any one of the recommendations in the ordinance, does this go back for original readings again, or can you specify one item and not blow up the whole ordinance?
That's going to depend on the extent of the changes. So if it's going to be a significant change, it should, a substantive change, if it's going to be a significant substantive change, then it should go back for a first reading.
I see, okay. And if it's not?
If it's not, you
this being a second reading, it would encompass any change?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, Ted? Okay. Do we have any comments from the public? Okay. I see somebody coming down with their hand up. Please. Oh.
Hi, my name is Ron Shara. I would like to see you change the $200 per day fine to $500 per day. The purpose of a fine is to punish. These people are renting these properties for short terms when they're not even permitted to. And they just pay the fines that are imposed, for example, by the Homeowners Association for violation of CC&Rs, and continue to do the same thing because they're getting so much money in rentals that the small fines we can impose don't deter them from continuing to rent the properties. They're making too much money on it. So if it's a punishing fine, like $500 instead of $200, they might think twice before they continue to violate the provisions of the ordinance. I would also like to thank you for your consideration and all the effort that must have been put into creating that ordinance. It's a great benefit to homeowners associations like ours at Versailles, where we have one house in particular, a 5-bedroom house, rented every weekend. They have 10, 12 cars parked in the street over the whole weekend, and neighbors we call the police 2 or 3 times during the course of the weekend, and it just continues. And we really appreciate it, but I think the fine should be a punishing one, unless it causes the ordinance not to be approved today, because I'd like to see the ordinance really go into place. And if it's not one that will delay the passage of the ordinance, then I'd like to see it at least consider it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your comment. It is so noted. We have some also other people that want to speak. Kate Sandman, please come to the podium and tell us where you live.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council and city staff. I am a resident of Rancho Mirage and actually own 2 homes within the city of Rancho Mirage, both of which were sadly neglected prior to our purchase, and we have invested significant funds in renovating them to improve the beauty of the city of Rancho Mirage. I am a bit concerned about the tone of what has been written. I think that everyone is heavily invested in ensuring that we have a lovely and orderly community. And it does appear that there is a broad brush of tar that is being applied to all vacation rentals, and I can't see from my personal experience that that's necessarily required. So, regarding the proposed age restriction of 30 for the responsible party, the legally responsible party, I don't know if the city has evaluated independently the economic impact of that. But what I would state is that my concern is that it's sending the wrong message about the city as a welcoming city to young professionals and young families. So has the city performed any sort of an independent economic assessment of that?
Not an independent assessment, I don't think we have.
Okay. Could we suggest or request that one be done?
You can suggest it.
Okay. Consider it suggested and requested. It also strikes me that the ordinance revisions have been written rather broadly, and I would say specifically regarding the roof issue. So I own my vacation rental, and I go on my roof because there are things that need to be done there. Cable men go onto my roof. Roof repairers go onto my roof. And the way that the ordinance is presently written, it would appear that not only are renters prohibited, but anyone else is as well. And so perhaps the city attorney, with all due respect, Mr. Hobart, what I would like to suggest is that what we need to ensure is that any city ordinance is written as it's intended to be enforced. And so if we can't do that, then I think that there's a problem between concept and execution, and that needs to be addressed.
Okay. Any further comments about it? Okay.
As a highly invested owner and resident of the city, I would be interested in, one, participating in some sort of a forum on an ongoing basis with city staff regarding issues pertaining to vacation rentals. So I think that if issues are raised without bringing in all interested parties, that you are not likely to get to an adequate resolution. I myself am a professional. I think that many of the other homeowners are professionals who are well educated and are accustomed to dealing in contracts, negotiations, and being problem solvers to be successful. And I have not been solicited, nor do I know of others who have been solicited to become actually a part of a solution so that many more members of the community can not only be satisfied, but feel that their voices have been heard. So if the other point being that if there were some sort of a forum and a published anonymous opportunity for us to view what complaints have been logged, what complaints have been verified as valid, as opposed to invalid and not in fact a violation of the vacation rental, what actions have been taken, for instance, the local contact has or has not been reached, the city police or the county police or the point of contact and code enforcement have or have not been involved, what actions were taken, and what the resolution was. So if we cannot publicly qualify what the problems are, I don't think that we can reasonably arrive at solutions as a community. That's a good start.
Okay, thank you so much. Dana, would you like to make any comment, or Steve?
I would just say that the paragraph with respect to the roof, it would be interpreted virtually as to what it says. It talks in terms of due to neighborhood privacy concerns and potential risks of bodily harm, having nothing to do with professionals who are up there for your air conditioning or something else. Accidental death and other safety concerns, standing, sitting, sleeping, lying, walking, or jumping on the roof of any vacation unit is prohibited. I think we can live with that. It's pretty clear. And by the way, I might say we have friends over in the Tamarisk area who, I don't know why they haven't complained about it before, but just recently said that every time the house adjacent to them is rented, people, young people for the most part, are up on the roof of the house jumping and diving into the swimming pool. So that's a pretty good reason to keep people off your roof, the city subcommittee thought.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Steve?
I'd just like to point out that when this first started, I was asked whether or not the city can legally ban all vacation rentals, and they can't. Like the city of Carmel has a total ban on vacation rentals. But the city chose instead to explore the idea of regulating them. And I remember that the staff did reach out to several homeowners and several local real estate companies and agents who are in the business of providing vacation rentals, and there were several meetings.
That's correct, Steve.
So, and then I'd just like to point out that our fines begin at $500. They go $500, $750, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, and can be as high as $10,000.
Thank you so much, Steve. Okay, why don't we move on to the next speaker? Vicki Marguia? Marguia?
Hello.
Please. Hello.
My name is Vicki Murguia, and I'm the owner of Vacation Rentals of the Desert. I manage
Can you tell us what city that where you reside?
I live in Palm Desert, but I do most of my business is done in Rancho Mirage.
Okay, thank you.
I manage about 100 vacation properties in the city of Rancho Mirage, and I'm here to represent those property owners who cannot attend the city council meetings to make their arguments in favor of vacation rentals. There seems to be just a handful of residents that have made repeated complaints against vacation rentals. I'm here to represent the silent majority, actually. This includes the 100 homeowners that I work with and all their renters, which probably is over 1,000 per year. And they all visit the desert, and most of mine are excellent neighbors. This silent majority also includes all the benefits or the business that benefit from these owners and the renters, the contractors and remodeling companies, that new owners buy their properties and upgrade their properties, and the cleaners, the repair services, the vendors, and everyone that supports vacation rental properties. It also includes real estate agents that are seeking out investors and using the idea of vacation rental potential in their sales pitch. These agents cannot voice their opinions because they work with people that are on both sides of the issue. There are also the restaurants, theaters, stores, golf courses, and all the activities where travelers spend their money in Rancho Mirage. If you can imagine that this group of people was in this room today, you'd have a standing room only and out the door. Most of us were not born here in Rancho Mirage or raised here. Most of us visited. We stayed with friends or in a vacation rental. We fell in love with the desert, and then we moved here eventually to retire in many cases. I don't agree with the proposed changes in regards to the age or the outside sound. I believe that they have the potential to chase away visitors, property buyers, and ultimately much-needed revenue to the city of Rancho Mirage. After all, revenues from TOT were the reason that this ordinance was proposed in the first place. So chasing away the short-term rentals will lose Rancho Mirage hundreds of thousands in TOT tax, as well as sales tax. In the 3 years since activating the hotline, I've received 3 calls from the cities, all combined. One of them was not my property. The second one, I was told by the police that met me there that they were going to cite the neighbor that was the full-time resident if they called again, because it was them harassing our renter. My company receives a weekly report from Palm Springs on the hotline calls. I propose that Rancho Mirage do the same and share this information with the managers and owners so that we can better handle any problems and maybe recognize anything that is from repeat people that don't fall under any kind of violation. I believe the current ordinance is sufficient, but could be better enforced by owners and vacation rental managers, and that the stricter laws are overreaching or are just going to be more difficult to enforce and will chase away the visitors that are the lifeblood of our community. It doesn't address the underlying issues, which could probably be addressed better by the owners and the managers and the cities working together. We should be educating our renters and our tenants and our owners and making sure that everybody complies. Whatever you all decide to do, my company, Vacation Rentals of the Desert, will keep in full compliance as always. And as always, we'll strive to be better neighbors. And I agree with Kate Sandman. I think maybe if we could put together some kind of forum of owners and managers, people that are involved in vacation rentals, and sit down, that might help us. That's all.
Thank you so much. David Wright, so will be our next speaker. Welcome. Please tell us where you reside.
Hi, I'm a resident of Rancho Mirage. I have 2 concerns, primarily. The age restriction of the responsible party seems arbitrary to me, because there's not a necessarily a connection between a person's age and their behavior. And this is a great concern to me because the trend of the council has been to restrict to ever greater ages this age of responsible party. Now, I'm concerned where this may end, because if the age rises too much further in future years, will this cut into my ability to have customers? And with regard to this, are the customers who are being turned away by this ordinance, and because of my necessity to comply with the City of Rancho Mirage's requirements, is there a liability that has been looked at that I would have as a business for having age discriminated? And I want to know if that's been looked at on a civil rights basis.
Don't worry about it.
I am worrying about it.
I'm telling you, I don't think you should.
I'm specifically concerned about the Unruh Act.
We're not banning anybody.
Okay. I understand. Is that the position of the
I
council?
believe in the auto rental industry, there's a requirement that the person renting the car has to be a minimum age of 25. Yeah, so you may want to consult with your own attorney on that issue. So I looked at the issue from the perspective of the city, but it's up to you to consult with your independent legal counsel on your issue with respect to your contracts.
All right. Thank you very much. With regard to the issue of item K, the presence of being on the roof, these homes are not necessarily exclusively vacation rental use, even though they may possess a vacation rental license. And I am an owner, and I do maintain my own roof. How is a neighbor who doesn't know me or see me present on the property or has ever met me before be able to distinguish me from a vacation rental tenant on one of my properties? I don't wish to be harassed on my property when I'm on my roof performing normal daytime activities or emergency repairs. Has that been looked at?
Do you really think that the city of Rancho Mirage is going to impose a fine on an owner who was on his house, on the roof of his house, to fix something? I mean, do you really think that's what we're headed to?
Well,
Or is this just an argument to try to obfuscate the issue with respect to Section K that you're talking about? Because let me tell you, if it ever happens to you, I will indemnify. I will absolutely right now guarantee to indemnify you if you're doing nothing but handling business on top of your roof that has to be taken care of by a homeowner. And I'm saying that with our code supervisor here. It's not going to happen. It's totally a nonsensical point. Your age 30 thing has got merit. Anybody could talk about 26, 29, 32. You can pick an age. All we're trying to do is to get an age of responsibility, because it hasn't been there based on our anecdotal experience. It hasn't been present in a good number of occasions. We're dealing with the problem. But let me point out that the people who moved to this city that you're talking so well about, the most vast majority of these people moved here because of the quality of life, to be residents here, not to turn their houses into business entities, but to be residents. And our concern is not to disrupt unduly the quality of life of the people in the community. That's all we're doing. We're trying to find a happy medium between allowing you to do business rather than just simply saying, the heck with it, no business, no rentals, less than 30 days, and be done with it. We haven't taken that position. We've tried to balance equities, and we have a lot of homeowners whose priorities I consider to be higher than yours. I consider your priority to be a business priority. A homeowner has a priority of quality of life. To me, weighing the two, when I'm required to as a member of the city council, you don't win that fight. So we're trying to simply find a balance that works. Your life isn't going to be perfect, and let me tell you that the people who live next door to most vacation rentals, even when they have quiet people, the quality of life is impacted to some extent just by the increase in number of bodies and maybe people running across their lawns, all sorts of things. We're saying, listen, this is a society where everybody's got a right to take care of their business, and that's what we're trying to do. But to talk about standing on a roof and you worrying about it, I mean, you lose me so fast.
Well, you've lost me with the wording of the item K, because it is not specific to vacation rental tenants. It covers everyone, including the homeowner.
No, it doesn't.
No, this has to do, excuse me, Madam Mayor, question. This whole ordinance has to do with the operational standards of a vacation rental unit. Okay, so while it's being a home, it's being rented out as for commercial use in a residential zone, and the occupants and the guests cannot be standing on the roof. You know, so the challenge here that the city has been faced with is, first of all, do we ban them all? They can legally ban all vacation rentals because vacation rentals are a commercial use in a residential zone. People buy homes in a residential zone thinking, oh, there's not going to be a business next door to them. So the council struggled with how do we do this? How do we permit a commercial use in a residential zone? And the only way that they decided that the only way they could do this was to impose these type of regulations. Hotels and other lodging establishments have the same kind of rules in place because they're in certain types of zones that prohibit certain types of activities from occurring. But again, they're in commercial zones.
Commercial zones.
We got a commercial use in a residential zone.
And along with a commercial use in a residential zone comes the homeowner's rights to use his home and not be asked to be given an immediate order to remove all occupants from that home because someone was on the roof. And that is the point that I'm making. I would like this clause to be more specific to state a regulation against the use of the roof by the vacation rental tenants. And I make that a matter of record. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The next speaker will be Ken Gregory. Gregory. Does that sound better? Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ken Gregory. I'm a resident of the city of Rancho Mirage, and I have a law firm also in the city. I'm here to briefly comment about Agenda Item 5. First, I'd like to talk about the age restriction. First, the age restriction that's proposed at 30, you're leaving out a whole class of potential customers. By the age of 30, by the age of 18, they can vote, which is a significant fact. They vote, they get car loans, they join the military. A lot of them are very responsible people. By the age of 30, many of them have gone to law school. They've had professional jobs. Some of them have major corporations. These are people that are below the age of 80. Some of these people may actually want to come spend a month in beautiful Rancho Mirage. There's a reason we live here. They may want to golf. They may eventually decide to buy here. But we're restricting them because of their age. More significantly, and I know it just was brought up, is that there's an issue. California Civil Code 51.2 is the Unraw Civil Rights Act. That code specifically prohibits a business establishment from discriminating in the sale or rental of housing based upon age. As the city attorney just mentioned, you're trying to regulate a commercial property in a residential zone. That's a business establishment. The courts in California have defined business establishment very broadly. There's a reason why hotels and timeshares don't restrict ages to people over the age of 18. Now, you did bring up the issue with car rentals, but there's a specific code that allows car rental agencies to do it, to charge or to limit rentals by age. It is against the law in California for a property owner, be a timeshare, which these fall close to, or hotel, or any other business establishment to discriminate by age. So what you've done is you've made everybody who has a business of renting vacation rentals subject to litigation under the Onerous Civil Act, or violate a city code. It's cheaper to fight the city code than it would be the Onerous Civil Rights Act. The final thing I'd like to point out is the noise ordinance. I brought my iPad. So I sit by my pool, I listen to my piano music on my iPad. When I rent my house out as a vacation rental, that same act is illegal. Being able to have a resident watch the ball game out by the pool is illegal. Having a little AM radio listening to the ball game is illegal. Many people come here, they want to sit by a pool, we have beautiful weather for that, and they like to listen to a little music. That obviously is a problem for the very minor few who think that volume is something that only works on high. But the majority of our guests aren't like that. But the code makes our homeowners in violation for merely doing something as simple as listening to a ball game out by the pool. And I'd ask that both the issues, the age restriction and the sound restriction, be re-looked at. Thank you.
Just if I can make one comment regarding Mr. Gregory's legal analysis on excluding a class of people. We're not excluding anybody. The ordinance excludes nobody. You say we're excluding people under age 30? We're not. All you have to do is have one person in the crowd, age 30, to be the responsible person. Everybody else can be teeny boppers.
That's semantics.
It can be whoever. That's not
exclusion.
semantics. It's the law. That's the way the ordinance was written, Ron.
Well, it's semantics. It's an exclusion because you can have 4 people wanting to rent a room unless they can go find someone who's 30. They can't rent it. It's an exclusion, and it's a violation. Thank you.
Next person in line is Beth Fortune. Welcome to the podium, and please tell us in which city you reside.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Fortune. I live in Santa Monica, and I own a vacation rental in Rancho Mirage.
Can you pull the microphone down a little bit?
Yes. I'm lucky enough to be here this week to weigh in on this. First, I'd like to say that I believe we want the same thing. We all want good guests. We, as owners, we put a significant amount of time and money and love into our properties. And in our case, we did so because we love the community, we love our neighborhood, and our neighbors. We plan to retire there someday, and this is helping us do that. So as a concerned and responsible owner, I asked that the city talk to the owners. We've asked Robert Barrett to have conversations with us about these issues, but unfortunately I didn't find out about these regulations until I read a message from a neighbor about the Desert Sun article. That was the first that I heard of it, and I really regretted not having a chance to give some input into this before now. Like a few others have mentioned, I'm concerned with the age limit, and I'm concerned with the noise limit. To be honest, we screen our guests. We want responsible people in our homes. We do that subtly. We ask what the purpose of their visit is, and we make sure they're not having a party. I know not everyone does that, but I don't think that noise is exclusive to those under 30. I know that some older people can be rowdy and some younger people can be very responsible, so I think that this restriction is sort of hitting this issue with a hammer, and it's not really necessary. And I also have questions about the noise restriction. I don't know if what sort of restrictions apply to my neighbors' homes versus my home. Am I not allowed to have pool speakers and my neighbors are? If someone calls a violation and says that I'm violating, how do they even know that it's my home? We've been in business now for 2 years, and we've had great guests, and we've had great neighbors, and we talk to them. So I'm asking the city today to talk to us, to have a conversation, and let us give some input on this that affects our ability to invest in these properties and to invest again, which is what ultimately we'd like to do. That's all. Thank you.
Let me make a comment, if I may. I'm sure that you're very discerning as far as your tenants are concerned. And in all likelihood, there has not been any complaints regarding your particular rental property. On the other hand, there are entire subdivisions within the boundaries of Rancho Mirage that have restrictions in their CC&Rs that allow no rentals whatsoever. Not under 30 days, but none. I know that there are HOAs that forbid any rentals under 30 days. What we've attempted to do is come up with a program that is reasonable as opposed to totally restrictive. As the city attorney said, there is the ability to eliminate any rentals within a residential area. That, in my opinion, would be punitive and not consistent with the spirit of Rancho Mirage. So we have tried to balance this particular issue with what we perceive as the reason that the vast majority of the people have moved here to take advantage of a terrific lifestyle, and at the same time accommodate somebody like yourself.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, but I do feel that the regulations that are currently in place are adequate, and I wonder, I'd also like to know how the current regulations are being enforced. If there are repeat violations, then do they still keep their license? Are they still operating? The way I understand it is that if I had repeat complaints, I've never had a complaint, but if I had repeated complaints, that my license would be revoked. I take that very seriously, and I feel that that's adequate. I don't know that further rules are necessary at this time.
Beth, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me, listening to everybody, that this 30 seems to be the magic bullet number, like nobody from 30 up rents, and that everybody from 17 to 29 do, and that's your audience.
Actually,
am I right, or am I missing something
in
here?
my case,
on all your parts,
we have had one group that's under 30.
Well,
the issue is not
what's
that
the issue.
The issue is that, for me, it's psychology. If I'm, as I said, I screen my guests. If it's a bunch of kids, I'm not going to rent to them. If it's, they say we're all 24 and we want to have a good time, I won't rent to them. But that's my choice. I'm not saying that that's a good idea for my neighbor to do that. But I know that if I have in my advertisements, no one under 30 allowed, that...
We're not saying that.
It doesn't say that.
It doesn't
Why
say
are
that.
you saying that?
Everybody says that. It's not true. One person, 30 to be responsible to sign on the line.
Exactly. But you do have to say that. And when you are screening your guests, you need to confirm their age. I only talk to the person that's signing my contract. So if I'm in the position of asking every single person that inquires about my home, whether they're over 30, that's a strange message, and it makes our community seem really undesirable, I think. Now, most of my guests are over 30, but they don't want to feel like they're going to a place that no young people are allowed. I think it sounds odd, frankly.
Well, you see, saying under 30 young people, there's where the issue is, and that's what causes the concern. Somebody that is 30 should be responsible.
Of course.
Doesn't necessarily, I know idiots that are 50. We all do.
Yes.
But 30 has to be something of a rule that we put in. That's all.
So there's no such thing as a responsible 27-year-old?
Sure there are.
So, and then that person can't rent from me, and then they have a bad feeling about my home, they have a bad feeling about Rancho Mirage, and
Cares.
I care. This is,
We try to provide a quality of life for residents. That's who our number one concern is. It's not your potential renters who are 25 to 35 or 15 to 40. That's not our concern. We're not trying to protect them so they'll have a good opinion of Rancho Mirage. We're trying to preserve the sanity of the people who live next door to the houses you own.
so what I don't understand, though, is why that age limit is perceived as the thing that will keep these renters responsible.
It may be changed. You notice that this is an amendment to the ordinance?
Yes.
Why is it an amendment? Because we are not having success with the current restrictions.
Well, I would like to know why.
Well,
I would
call
like to
Robert
know
Barrett. You've talked to him, haven't you?
a little bit.
I thought
yeah.
in your email, I thought you mentioned, you sent a copy of your email to him and me.
Yes, I did.
So you can contact Robert Barrett. You can ask him whatever you want to ask him. But to tell us that we should change our responsible party age from 30 to, 27, makes no sense if we're not having success at that lower level. And you said something else that let me disabuse you of. You don't have to ask all of your potential renters how old they are.
I have to ask the person signing
You
the contract.
only have to say, I have to deal with a person who is at least 30 years of age. If they say we don't have any, then you're out of luck. Look for somebody else. But they'll say, oh, well, we've got two guys. Who do you want? You don't care. Or maybe you do care. You want to pick the one. But you don't have to go through and age qualify anybody. All you have to do is find one person at age 30.
And may I ask how we landed on the age 30 as being the responsible age?
Yes, because we thought somebody 30 was probably, not always, probably a bit more responsible than somebody 29, and we thought somebody 29 is probably a bit more responsible than somebody 28, and so forth.
But
so we picked an age.
A good enough reason?
We picked an age that we thought was reasonable.
Yes, that you thought was reasonable. Is there any data to support that?
Anecdotal data, yes, and Robert will tell you about it. I think in your email you said you didn't think much about anecdotal evidence.
No.
Well, that's all there is. If you know of a study, a formal study, that measures the level of responsibility of anybody from a teenage on up to 35 or 40, you bring it to our attention. Then we won't have to rely on anecdotal evidence. But in the meantime, I could produce for you dozens of people who would give you anecdotal evidence and experience about the people who are renting next door or one house behind us or something like that.
And
we hear it all the time.
I'm sure you do, and I know that there are rule breakers in every aspect of
and we're
society.
just trying to reduce that, that's all.
Yes, I do understand that, but I just question whether these amendments are the right way to go about it at this time.
We question it too. And in 6 months or a year, we'll have some anecdotal evidence and we'll take another look at it.
So it sounds like the decision's been made.
Sounds like what?
It sounds like this decision's been made today without having these conversations a little bit earlier.
Well, we've been having the conversation for at least 3 years that the ordinance has been in place. This conversation is ongoing. You could have joined it anytime you wanted to.
Had I known it was, I would have been happy to.
Well, you did know it was. You knew enough to write to Robert Barrett.
I knew about it last week, yes.
Okay. Well, it's your business that you're talking about. If you don't learn the rules of the city in which you're doing business, is that our fault or yours?
I know the rules as they exist currently, and I'm happy to abide by them and agree with them.
Well, find a way to stay in touch with Mr. Barrett or the department. Ask to be notified. Get yourself on some notification list, and we try to do the best we can.
Yes, I've been asked to be notified, as have other neighbors that I know of.
And that's great.
And
We
we
want you to
haven't
have input. Nobody wants you not to. That's why we deal with I don't know how many agencies. Cindy, how many agencies do we deal with? On vacation rental agencies, is the Rancho Mirage are participating in our programs? 25 agencies that represent hundreds of homes. we and she, the lady you just heard speak, do everything we can to get broad input. And we do get broad input.
Well, no, we weren't asked for our input, and I know our contact information is available. It's on our tax forms every month. So I would ask that there's something put in place that notifies us individual owners who have one property who care just as much as a property manager to also be a part of this conversation.
I'm sure the Madam City Clerk, you'll make a note that she's submitted a request for all information regarding any item on a future agenda pertaining to
Fantastic.
vacation rentals. That's all you have to do is ask.
Okay, thank you.
And I would advise anybody who's in the business, vacation rental business in the city of Rancho Mirage, to do what every responsible business owner does, and that is look at our municipal code to see what regulations regulate your business.
Yes, we have.
But you had asked some questions about our regulations. So
No,
I assume that you're asking those questions, you didn't read our regulations. Please do that.
Trust me, I have.
Thank you so much. Move on to Peter Kim.
Good afternoon. Well, thank you for taking the time to listen to the community. My name is Peter Kim. I live in Rancho Mirage. I'm a part-time resident. I was a vacation renter initially. I rented a vacation home in the area, and I fell in love with the community as a result of that experience. And that experience is something that I really want to maintain because I live here part-time. That's something that I think we all share in common as an interest. And I worry that some of the conversation that's happened this afternoon has made it seem like the vacation renter owners and the residents are two polarized groups who have competing interests. I think that simplifies things a bit. Many of us want to retire here. Many of us want to maintain the atmosphere and the peace and the tranquility that drew us here to begin with. And so it's from that dual perspective, a part-time resident, part-time owner, that I'm speaking to you today. There are some things that have been said so far that I agree with, some things I disagree with. One thing that I should note is the notion that we, when I put on my hat as a vacation renter owner, the notion that I would be comfortable with people on my roof. I don't know of any vacation renter owner that would want that to happen. That's a major liability for anyone that owns a home. If I found out that a renter was on my roof, I would want them off it immediately and consider getting them removed, evicted, if I had the power to do that, to get them out of that property. That's a serious danger to us. So that the notion that doing that would be dangerous for the people who are on the roof, we would agree 100%. At the same time, I would also, if that is the standard for putting in rules, I would also put in a provision that people should not run headfirst into walls, because that is also a danger to their health and could cause serious harm. This is an example of something that we have a common interest about. It's something that if I were informed by my neighbors or the city, I would act on immediately, because that's something that no one in their right mind would want to have happen. And so that's just an example of how we as a community are interested in the same things. Likewise, music. There are times when I rent out the property, I would love them to be able to play music to a reasonable degree, just like I, as a resident, a part-time resident, would like the opportunity to play music when I'm there. And I would also very much dislike a neighbor playing their music at loud levels that would be disturbing to me. I believe there are noise ordinances already in place to address that kind of issue. And to the extent that that's in place, and I could make use of that kind of ordinance to keep everyone from being disrespectful to their neighbors, I think that's excellent. I think that's something we should all strive for. What I worry about is maybe an inconsistent standard that's being applied to people who are just renting part-time, and how that affects us as part-time residents who might want to subsidize our ability to stay in these homes. One of the first examples, first speakers talked about living in a home and having all these cars around this home that's being rented. Well, I sympathize with that concern. I think that's an unreasonable thing to have to experience on a regular basis. But I also know a neighbor across the street who has had that same experience happen with another neighbor who lives there permanently. It's the same issue. It's the same nuisance, regardless of whether you're there living permanently, living there part-time. The same act is disrespectful regardless of whether you're a permanent resident or someone who's visiting part-time. What I would request is that we think about these ordinances, whatever is being considered, and think about how that's implemented on a consistent basis, recognizing that we are all members of a community. We all want a community that's welcoming, quiet, tranquil, that would allow us to live the kind of lifestyle that drew us to this neighborhood to begin with. And to the extent that we could do that, I think we would all be better off. And the conversation about how to achieve that is something that I think may require a little bit more effort to dig into the details. I think some of the principles of reducing noise, reducing overcrowding, reducing disrespect, that's something we all believe in, right? But some of these measures make me a little bit worried. For example, some of the restrictions that are being considered make it sound like, let's take one.
Mr. Kim, we're kind of running a little bit short on time. Could you kind of wrap it up a little bit?
Let me give you an example.
Please do.
So one of the restrictions is that if for some reason there are more occupants in the property than is legally allowed during the day, and there had not been a special permit put in advance, that this would be something that would be fined. Sometimes a vacation rental owner will not know that the renter has snuck people in during the day. Is that something that can be fined for when they had no control, when they've done everything they could to screen those people to make sure that they did meet the occupancy limit, and now these renters have done something that they had no knowledge of? Are they going to be given an opportunity to address that on their own before that fine is being imposed? I don't hear that in the statute that's being considered. The same thing with the people on the roof. Simply let the owners know that there are people on the roof. They'll get them off immediately. Why do we need to directly move to a fine? Those are the kinds of things that I think some more conversation would be justified about. Thank you.
So are you suggesting that the person who lives in Santa Monica, when somebody gets on a roof and is jumping in the pool and disturbing the neighbors and possibly going to kill themselves, that we call her, have her drive all the way out here from Santa Monica at 1 o'clock in the morning and get the people off the roof? We send somebody out there and order them off the roof.
One of the provisions that you have is that there should be someone, if anyone who has a vacation rental property must have someone who's accessible within a very short period of time. Why not let them know as well? Why not have them? Please, by all means, send people over to get them off the roof. I'm sure we would want the help, right? At the same time, recognize that the owner has no interest in having these people on the roofs themselves, and don't move directly towards a fine and treat it as an intentional disregard of basic common sense. Treat it as something that we all have in common as an interest. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we have got two more speakers that would like to have filled out yellow cards here, but I think we'd like to have a 5-minute break so we can all just kind of stand up, and those of us that need to hit the necessary room can do so. please take your seats so we can resume our meeting here. And the next person to be called up to the podium is Carol Johnson. Pull the microphone down and state where you're from.
My name is Carol Johnson. I live in the city of Rancho Mirage. I don't own a rental, or at least I don't own a vacation rental, or I own a commercial rental in Indio. I found out about this change of ordinance on the internet about a week and a half ago. And when I read it, I thought it was one of the stupidest things I've ever read. Okay, I will, let me have my 3 minutes and then I'll let you answer my questions. You can answer yours. Okay, age over 30. I've asked why was the age picked at 30, and I'm told it's anecdotal. There's no empirical data to base it on 30. If I use your age on 30, I think we shouldn't sell homes to anybody under the age of 30. Because my neighbor across the street's 37 and he hot rods his car up and down the street. So for my quality of life, I think we ought to change the age. No one can buy a house. I think on music and noise, you already have ordinances on it, on your rental ordinance. From my understanding, there can be no noise before 1 o'clock and no noise after 10 o'clock. Enforce the ordinances you have. The rooftop is kind of silly. If I want to jump off the roof, most rental, we have rental properties, commercial rental properties. Insurance runs more than regular property. I don't want someone on my roof. You can't protect the world from everything. I'm against most of the things on the ordinance. I'm against the 30-year-old. But the one thing I do really want to say, I'm sitting in the back, I'm speaking with my neighbor. I am really surprised at the condescending attitude of the city council members towards the speakers here. I cannot believe the rudeness that comes out of their mouth. And that's why I thought it was a stupid ordinance.
Okay, the next speaker, and this will be the last one, whose yellow paper I have. Karsten Erickson.
Madam Mayor, council members, thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Please tell us your city.
Rancho Mirage, specifically I live in the Magnesia Falls Cove. My family's lived here since 1960 when my grandparents first moved the family down here. My parents live here. They own a small business. I was raised here. I went to Rancho Mirage Elementary School. And we did not learn about this ordinance until about a week ago when another neighbor of ours who does own a vacation rental called us and let us know about this. Now, my biggest problem with the ordinance is, of course, the age, which we've talked a fair deal about today. I myself am 22 years old. As has been said, I can vote, I can order a beer. In some areas, I can get a rental car. The age is 21. I can buy a home if I like. I can join the armed forces if I choose. When I was 20, I joined the Peace Corps. The US government deemed me old enough and mature enough to go overseas and teach English for a year to represent my country in a diplomatic sense. And although I have done, or I can do, all of these things, the ordinance before you today would make me ineligible to rent a vacation home here in our great city. Now, it's not only me. I went to school in LA, UCLA. I have a lot of friends that are still there. They're my age, they're slightly older, in their middle 20s. They're good members of society. They went to college, they have good paying jobs. My parents are currently out of town, otherwise they would be here today with me. Instead, I'm here to represent the family. But a group of friends, 10 of them came out, they stayed in my house, we had a wonderful time, it was great, and they would love to come back. because they know the reputation that this valley has. It's one of a welcoming city for everyone that wants to come here. And they stayed for the weekend, and then they left. And I myself, I'm soon going to be leaving in a month. I leave for New York City to go to law school, and I won't be back here. And we talked about it, and they said, well, can you rent properties in out here? And I said, yes, you can, because at the time I understood that they could. But none of them are over the age of 30. 24, 25, 26, 27, these are responsible people. We did not go wild when they were out here. They would love to come to this city of ours. They would love to give this city revenue in search of a good time. And this would ban that for them. And other people have said it, that this is discrimination. And I do agree, this is discrimination. You say it's not discrimination because we only need one person over the age of 30 to sign the rental agreement, to be with us in the house. That is still discrimination. You're discriminating us on something that we cannot control, which is our age. How would this go down if it was something else that people cannot control? Skin color? Gender? Sexual orientation? Instead, it's our age, and that's what you're taking it from. Enacting this is going to be denying us on something we have no control, our age, and that is discrimination. There have obviously been issues with vacation rentals in the past months, in the past year, but I don't believe the age is with people renting. I've been to Stagecoach, I've been to Coachella. There are people over 30 out there that go wild. Sure, college-age kids can go crazy, but age does not necessarily correlate with mature behavior. There have been 40 complaints made through the city in the last 12 months. I would be very interested to see how many of these complaints came from how many homeowners. If there were just 3 or 4, saying 10 complaints each. I appreciate anecdotal evidence, I appreciate a good story, but I would very much like some hard facts that we could look at for this. I believe that the current ordinances that we have at this time are enough to keep our citizens safe, happy, and healthy. It's only a matter of proper enforcement. The timing of this ordinance also concerns me, in that the neighbor who I called from was out of town. They're not able to be here today. I assume they've sent you a letter, an email. At the same time, my own parents aren't in town. They're business owners. They have been for 50 years. And they would like to be here as well. But the timing that you've done with this, they're not able to be here and voice their concerns. And I'm sure this goes both ways. This is a time in the year where people are gone because of this god-awful heat. Who can blame them? But they're not here. I question the time that you've chosen to push forward this agenda. It's not only my family that believes this way, it's also neighbors. We have a lot of vacation rentals up in the Magnesia Falls Cove. One is right next to our house. There's never been any problem with them. We've never had to call in. As for the time for the noise ordinance, I believe that 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. is still a good time for that. I don't understand what's wrong with a Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, someone listening to a ball game, like the other gentleman said, or being out and laughing and playing and having some music. There's nothing wrong with that. I've had people next door do that. I have no problem with that. I like people having a good time. So I would like to ask the council today to either vote no or to abstain from voting at this time so that we can revisit this issue at a later date in the fall when the season has begun and we have more residents in the city who can come here and in person state their views. To pass this ordinance right now, it is an act of discrimination, and one way or another, it's going to cost the city much needed revenue.
Thank you so much. Richard, did you have a comment? I see your light is on.
Oh, my light's on. Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. You know, you may sit down.
Oh, okay.
Are we done taking public testimony?
We are at the very end. There's no other speakers here that wish to make comment who did not fill out a yellow card. Now would be a time. Okay, thank you. We're closing public comments.
Okay. As we can tell, there are a lot of issues being brought before us, but I think one of the issues that we continue to hear about is the age requirement and what age you become responsible. And because of that, I contacted Cindy Goslin last week, and I said, Cindy, you work with a lot of different cities in the area, and what kind of a responsible age do they have? So I put together a brief table that kind of gives us an overview as to what the other cities have and what range they're in. You can see Palm Desert's at 21. Palm Springs just recently went from 21 to 25. La Quinta's 18. Indio's 21. And then there are a couple of cities that really don't have a program right now or are working on a program. And then, of course, our city down at the bottom going from 21 to 30. And, I raised a lot of the same questions to Cindy that were raised today. What is the justification for the age change and at what limit? And what I would like to do is look at the averages or the other cities that we have in the area and maybe go from 21 to 25. And when I mentioned that to Cindy, she said, she would work with us to look at the various complaints at the various age levels, and maybe there might be a justification to move that from 25 to 30. But at least it would give us an age where it's not such a big jump from where it is right now, and it's really more in line with the other cities of the valley. I think once we can look at the data, and maybe it will take us a year to look at the data and determine what the guidelines will be for the future. We can also have these meetings that everybody's talked about that they haven't been involved in. And I know I've asked Robert about when are we going to have a meeting with the realtors or with the homeowners, and I know he wants to do that. And I think it's really important that we have those meetings, and we have them maybe in the fall or the spring, not the summer as we are right now, and try and get the most input we can. But I think the issue, and I think the subcommittee's really done a great job in trying to wrestle with the various elements of this ordinance. But I think if we can bring that age back down from 30 to 25, I think a lot of the people will hear that will recognize that we're making an effort to come up with an acceptable age. We can then go back, look at the data, go forward, look at the data, and really, at that point, be able to come forward and say, this is what it shows for 25 through 30 through 35. This is where we should have our age responsibility limit. Maybe it's not 30, maybe it's even higher. So I think as we go through the various issues today, the numbers that are there for various cities, I don't know what data they've analyzed to come up with it, but La Quinta at age 18, I mean, they're probably going to have all of Coachella Fest there, and because of the age lower limits there. So I think, it's an example of good government to listen to the public, to establish some future meetings, and to start going forward with this ordinance so we can put it in place. And I would recommend that we look at the age of 25, which is the max right now in the valley. Start with that. Go forward with our outside consultant, try and do some analysis of the data, and really come up with a little bit more justification for whatever age we pick, rather than just picking a number at this point, which I think we're doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Dana, you'd like to comment?
Yes, I would comment that when one of the other people were speaking, I think one of the points I made was that we would continue to look at the empirical data, anecdotal data, and maybe there'll be something beyond that. But staff has been working with this issue for a long, long time. And I think that it would be wise for us to always reconsider any decision that we've made if the evidence doesn't support its justification. But however, rather than changing the number from what's been recommended after a long, hard gruel of experience that staff would tell everybody about, that we go with the ordinance the way we have it, and then let's test the theory to see if 30 is too high or if it isn't. If it is, we'll reduce it, and we should reduce it. If we can be convinced that we are not putting residents at risk. You have to look at every one of these vacation rentals from the perspective of it being next to your house. Because if it's not next to your house, you don't have a dog in the chase, so to speak. And if it's next to your house, you want to know what works. And I submit that we assign to Mike and Robert the obligation of continuing to gather data on the subject of what is the appropriate age. Is it 30 or something else? But I don't think that we should abandon staff's recommendation and then do the study. It's staff's recommendation is based on the empirical data that they have, and that's like ignoring it to say, well, we're not going to accept it. This was brought forth by staff, wasn't brought forth by anybody else. It was brought forth by staff telling us that we were having far too many complaints that were going unanswered on a rapid enough basis or otherwise being solved rapidly. And so I would say that we should adopt the amendments as proposed and but stay on top of the subject. Because if we're not right, if we're making an incorrect assumption about anything at all, we want to know it. We don't want to say 30 because we said so. We want to say 30 because that's the age that our empirical data supports as being the age for the responsible party.
Thank you, Dana. Did you have something more you wanted to say, Richard?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anyone, other comments? Okay. Well, I have a comment. And as Richard said, a number of issues have been raised here. And we must keep in mind at all times that rules and regulations are not made for people who know how to behave in other people's neighborhoods and using other people's properties. Rules are not made for renters who respect their surroundings and they respect them at all times. Yes, there are certain regulations and rules for people living in their own homes. If problems occur, such as noise or bad behavior, those are going to be addressed also. And everyone has the freedom to call someone, probably the sheriff's department, to have someone come out and check on the problems that are taking place. How very sad that a rule needs to be made prohibiting people from hanging out on a rental roof property. For all those not aware, rooftops are not play areas. As a rental property owner, myself, I speak from my own experience. People hanging out on rooftops only damage the roof and often end up damaging the rooftop equipment. Most roofs are designed to structurally handle the weight of the roofing and equipment themselves, as well as the temporary weight of workmen. Most rooftops are not structurally designed to handle the weight of people hanging out. When I was young, the only reason to go on a roof was to do repairs or with some kids to jump in the pool. I seriously doubt that any property owner would condone anyone jumping into a pool off of their own rooftops. And it was interesting because Beth Fortune, who spoke before, sent us a note mentioning that she had a regulator on her own sound system so that sound could only be turned up to a certain degree. So she's very aware of the problems that sound and bad behavior can cause. We know that some people are more careful with their screening of prospective occupants, but not everyone is. We would hope that they would be. But a lot of times, the owner of the property is nowhere to be found. They live on the East Coast. They're on vacation themselves somewhere else in Europe, and they're depending on someone else taking care of their property. One of the speakers just mentioned, what do you do about people who sneak onto your property? Some of your renters go to the mall, they go to the movies, they see some friends, come on over. No problem. Well, it is a problem. And that's why a 30-year-old, we felt, needed to be there. Somebody had to be there to make that judgment call and insist that those rules be followed. The process of formulating this rule and all the rules that we put forth were not easy. It was a long and arduous effort. We worked with professionals whose only desire was to ensure the safety and great valued lifestyle of our residents, and to allow residents to rent their properties within protective guidelines that are in the best interest of protecting the property's owners and the property's investment, and only to the good of the property owner, as well as the community at large. No one woke up one morning and said, hey, how can we make some rules that are going to really be difficult for all these homeowners that want to rent out their properties? How can we make things difficult for them? That's not what we did. We worked on this and worked on it and worked on it until we came up with some things that we thought would protect everybody. We want the homeowners to be able to run their businesses and make it profitable for them, but our best interest is in both parties, the renters as well as the homeowners that are surrounding the rental homes. If everyone had tenants that acted like a good neighbor, then none of these rules would be necessary. And as Dana said, this is only an amendment for right now. We may come back in another year, another 2 years, if we see things are not going well, just like we saw this time that things were not going well. We may decide to change the age limit or the age requirement. And it may move down to 25. It may move up to 35. We tried to be caring and benevolent and understanding to everyone. And we want everyone to live happily and know that their peace of mind is important to all the city leaders. Our goals as public servants of Rancho Mirage is to protect our economy, is to protect the elegance of our city, and to protect the very envied lifestyle we provide our residents. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I would move that we adopt the ordinance
As is. Okay. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Please cast your vote.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion
Okay.
to change the designated responsible age from 30 to 25.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
Well, I think the person making the motion would have to approve the amendment.
No, I wouldn't have to. That's not what Robert Rules of Order requires. And we do go by Robert's Rules of Order. His motion, if it has a second, it would then be debatable. If it doesn't have a second, it dies for lack of a second, and we go forward with the vote.
Then the first motion holds.
Yeah.
The first motion holds. Okay. Well, we have a motion and we have a second. Please cast your vote.
Just for the record, I think you should announce that there was no second to the proposed amendment.
Okay. So noted. For those of you that did not hear or understand, the motion that was put forth by Councilmember Richard Kite,
The amendment.
the amendment was, there was no second for that, and so it fell by the wayside, and we went ahead with the original motion.
Correct.
Okay. Did everybody cast your vote? Okay. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you all so much for all your efforts and all your time. And I know this has not been an easy situation, but we want to make the best for everyone. Thank you. Okay. So we will move on to the next pulled item, which was item number 7 on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the City Council, we'll have Sean Smith, our Economic Development Manager, present a brief staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Binder. Good afternoon. This item is a request for approval of the Housing Subcommittee's recommendation to repeal the board's previous action that eliminated the provision in the rules and regulations for Parkview Villas, Santa Rosa Villas, and Whispering Waters applying increases to the minimum base rent only to units occupied on or after July 1st, 2008. So in response to the loss of ongoing annual funding due to the elimination of redevelopment in California, the Housing Authority Board has made several changes to the operations of the Housing Authority. One such change was the elimination of a clause allowing residents to move in prior to July 1st, 2008 at or below the minimum base rent to maintain that current rent moving forward. This change went into effect July 1st with about 30 affected units with an estimated new revenue to the Housing Authority of $7,000 annually. Subsequent to the board's July 17th meeting, the Housing Subcommittee met to discuss several issues, including this one. Based on that discussion, due to the impact on the residents and the minimal projected revenue to the Housing Authority, the subcommittee recommends that the board repeal the elimination of this clause and return the affected rents to their previous levels, doing so retroactively to July 1st. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Are there any comments from council?
Madam Mayor, Sean, how many people does this impact?
There were about 30 units impacted by this.
Okay.
30 households.
And this change will go into effect immediately, or actually, it wasn't supposed to go into effect until July 1 of next year, is that right?
Actually, this change was made to the rules and regulations that are currently in effect. The action was taken last year by the board, going into effect July 1st of this year. So the recommendation is that the action be retroactive back to July 1st of this year. So those residents who are affected and made their rent payments for this month would get a credit next month, and their rent would be brought back to the previous level.
Great. Appreciate that. Thank you.
The analysis was that the increase was so de minimis that we felt that it was unnecessary to enact the increase.
Okay. Any other comments? Any comments from the audience? Okay, public comments are closed. We have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much, Sean. Okay, moving on to number 8. Award of contract for professional auditing and tax services to Bavarinek, Trine Day and Company.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll turn this over to Isaiah Hagerman, Finance Director, for a brief report.
Thank you, Mr. Binder. Madam Mayor and the members of the City Council. The Budget Subcommittee, which consists of Mayor Pro Tem Hobart and Councilman Kite, led a review of the city's external independent audit firm. The review was in accordance with standard city policy to ensure the highest quality and best price on city audits. To maximize the distribution of the RFP, a notification email was released on the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers listserv. It was also sent to past audit firms that have serviced the city and posted on the city's website. In total, 13 CPA firms downloaded the RFP from the city's website, which resulted in 4 proposals being received. Based on the review of each firm's submitted proposal, 2 firms were selected for interviews. The interviews allowed the budget subcommittee and staff to ask detailed questions of the firm and their staff to determine the best quality firm for the city. Based on the results of the interviews, qualifications, and price analysis, Vavernick Trine Company was the unanimous recommendation from the Budget Subcommittee and staff. I would like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Hobart and Councilman Kite for their involvement and insight throughout this process, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Isaiah. Are there any questions from council?
Just a comment that we really had a lot of good applicants. We ended up meeting with 2 different firms, both very highly qualified. And actually, the firm that we decided upon is our current auditor. They've done a great job over the last couple of years, and we'll be looking at them on a year-to-year basis. But I think they'll do a great job, and they'll be starting right away, right? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Will someone like to make a motion?
Yeah. I'll make a motion
First of all, are there any public comments? Seeing none? Okay. We'll close the public comments and go
I'll
ahead
make
with
a
the
motion to award the professional services agreement for auditing and tax service to Vavernick Trine Day & Company, LLP, and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we will move on to the public hearings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think 3 hours for the consent calendar is probably a record for the city of Rancho Mirage.
I think you're right.
First public hearing today will be presented by Associate Planner Greg Trousdale.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members. The public hearing today is for tentative tract map 36621, a 10-lot single-family subdivision located at 34916 Via Josefina. The 5-acre parcel is located on the east side of Via Josefina and to the north of the existing 5-acre equestrian riding facility in Section 30. Properties surrounding the site are typically zoned 2 dwelling units to the acre, and right now rural street improvements exist in the area at this time. Slide 3 shows the vacant property and the old service road, which would have been an extension of Ginger Rogers Road. However, Section 30 specific plan, circulation plan, eliminated this street extension. The amendment occurred by the City Council on May 6, 1999. To the west, across Via Josefina, are existing 1-acre residential homes, also in the RL2 zoned area. Again, to the south is the 5-acre equestrian riding facility. Tentative tract map 36621 is a 10-lot residential subdivision. It's proposing a 37-foot wide private street with access to each lot. Street medians are shown as required by Section 30 design guidelines, as well as the use of concrete pavers and meandering sidewalk on Via Josefina. Lot sizes are 15,539 to 18,041 square feet. Two large retention basins exist at the front of the property. Lots B and C be used for retention basin purposes as well as open space. As mentioned in the report, the applicant has provided an elaborate landscape plan for the retention basins. The desertscape plan is being used with a variation of shrubs, 19 California fan palms, and also 24-inch box palabre and mulgay trees. Along the cul-de-sac are 24-inch box tipu trees and at the end, a 36-inch box floss silk tree. This plan shows the location of the decorative pavers as well as the entry gates. One big delay on this project was the September 27th CVWD letter stating that water pressure in the Section 30 area would prevent the developer from receiving water meters until the Mission Hills trunk line was put in place, and therefore they wouldn't be able to get permits until December 2015. We went back and forth on that issue with the Water District. However, that's their stance at this time. With that, conditions 52, 55, and 69 deal with that particular issue. The applicant is well aware of the particular problem and will be working with the Water District in the future on their infrastructure plans. Regarding public noticing for this matter, notices did go out July 16th and as well for the June 26th Planning Commission meeting. And therefore the minutes from both the two Planning Commission meetings, we actually had one in the 26th and then July 10th, are included in your packet. As noted, Peter Solomon wanted to be assured that he had legal access to his 5-acre parcel behind the equestrian facility. To staff's knowledge, we believe there was access through the equestrian parcel at one time. However, if legal access doesn't exist at this time, staff believes that patent easements exist in this particular area. Also, staff has noted to Mr. Solomon that this same developer has properties around this project, and they do have another map coming in south of Mr. Solomon's property. I believe it's tract 36620, which will be coming forward in the next few months. It would have come at this same time, but there were some design delays. So the access issue, we hope, will be resolved. Another issue Mr. Solomon wanted reviewed at the last Planning Commission meeting was whether or not this project had access to the solid waste lift station that was constructed to serve portions of Section 30 and the Versailles project based on City Council Resolution 2003-34. The city is required to collect benefit money from developers seeking development in the assessment area as shown. As you note on this map, and we had it in the package, on the north side, this property is just outside that boundary, so that particular issue was discussed at length at the July 10th meeting. And then what was also discussed is we did receive information from the Water District that this site does have capabilities of using the lift station, provided they extend the sewer line down via Josephina. So that information is in the report as well.
May I comment about something? It's something that Greg's not privy to because I was talking to his boss right before the meeting, and it pertains to these two particular issues. I had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Solomon and with the applicant right before the meeting. That's why Greg didn't have a chance to. I didn't have a chance to tell him about this, but I discussed it with our community development director. And so we came up with two additional conditions. One that pertains to the sewer lift station, and so I'm going to recommend that the City Council, if it approves this project, that they add a condition, and it will be number 36, and it will amend the condition number 36, and it will read, in addition, since the Coachella Valley Water District requires the project to connect to the sewer lift station installed and paid for by Mr. Peter Solomon, DBA Regency Homes, the applicant shall pay its fair share contribution based on the per dwelling unit assessment per the cost reimbursement agreement by and between the City of Rancho Mirage and Peter Solomon, even though the tract is outside the benefit zone, as described in the cost reimbursement agreement. And that's acceptable to both the applicant and Mr. Solomon. In regards to the access issue, we're essentially I'm recommending that we add a condition, be number 26.5, that essentially memorializes the reality of the situation with respect to access. And that should read that the applicant and its successors in interest shall not impede, prohibit, or preclude access to the 5-acre parcel immediately to the east of the existing equestrian center identified as, and we'll insert the assessor parcel number, which shall be memorialized in a recorded covenant approved as to content by the owner of said 5-acre parcel and approved as to form by the city attorney. And that condition has also been accepted by the applicant and agreed to by Mr. Solomon.
Okay, so we're all set with Mr. Solomon, and we're all set with the conditions.
Correct.
So with those modified conditions, staff recommends approval subject to the content and findings in the staff report.
Okay. Someone make a motion?
Public hearing.
Oh, right.
How many examples do we have where 5 acres in Section 30 has been permitted to be developed with a total of 10 residents as compared to 9? It seems to me that most of them have been 9.
Yes, I would agree. I don't think there are any with 10. I think it's been 9 or less.
What is it about?
would you
What
know?
is it about this one?
I think so.
Bud, would you like to come up and address this for us? Thank you.
Perhaps it's just because it has 330 feet of frontage on one public street, so there's not as much dedication versus some of the other ones that are on corner lots?
That's correct. The vast majority, if not all, of the developments that I'm aware of in Section 30 have been 9-acre or 9-lot subdivisions of 5 acres. This does only have one street frontage on the narrow side of the lot. They also have the portion of the patent easement along the south side of the property. So this particular property does only have one side of the property to develop, in contrast to the next tentative map that you'll review, which has 3 streets. It's a peninsula, so to say, where there's 3 streets surrounding the property and provides 9 lots.
Where is the stormwater basin on this property?
The storm drain on this property is along the frontage of Via Josefina. So when you're on the public street looking towards the project, you'll see a nice, beautiful, deep landscaped retention basin area before you enter the gates of the subdivision. So it really is more of a public benefit than a private benefit that only the homeowners within the cul-de-sac could enjoy.
And how does the size of the lots compare to the other projects, whatever the average might be?
I'm not sure exactly what the average size lot is. I know that in cases where we've had 9-lot subdivisions and similar situations where only one frontage was improved, I'm thinking, for example, I think it was a Trans-West Bella Via project, which was on either side of Ginger Rogers. So they only had to approve the narrow side of Ginger Rogers. They had 9 lots on either side. So it was a 9-lot subdivision within 5 acres. And I believe that the average lot size was around 17 to 18,000 square feet in that case. This is an RL2 zone. The minimum lot size is 15,000 square feet, which in the case of the 10-lot subdivision is approaching more the minimum, but it does comply with city standard. In the other case where we have a peninsula lot with 3 public streets to develop on all sides of it, that particular subdivision is going to be quite expensive to develop with the public facilities.
Okay.
How's the maintenance of the storm drain area being provided for, and at whose expense?
That would be provided by the homeowners association at their cost.
And that will be written into the CC&Rs?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Bud, is this the one where they have the pavers that are sunk in sand where the water goes down?
Well, yes, we do require enhanced entries to subdivisions. Normally, they will consist of pavers that are permeable. Sometimes they'll have concrete bands. Some subdivisions may just do like a colored or textured concrete, but in our review and experience, the pavers tend to be more durable and they become less easily stained, and they just last longer.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Bud? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bud. I see we have a couple of speakers from the audience that would like to come up. First one is John Gamlin, representing the applicant.
It's okay. Can I speak first? I'm Graham Culp, also representing the applicant.
Sure.
Graham Culp, Los Angeles, California. I am a managing partner with Merriweather Companies. Our company was, and I'll keep this brief, it's been a long day already, formed in 2010. Our focus from the very beginning was on luxury residential projects in second home markets. Our very first project as a company was in April 2011. We acquired the Villas of Murata, which is just up the hill from City Hall. At the time, we quickly renovated 8 homes, sold those homes, built 5 homes, which we sold successfully, and subsequently sold the remaining finished lots to a future developer. As a company, we're an active building company. We have 4 projects in primarily the western U.S. that we're building, 2 projects in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, 1 project in Fredericksburg, Texas, and a project in Breckenridge, Colorado. We're also an active entitlement and planning company with projects in Squaw Valley, California, Telluride, Colorado, La Quinta, California, and Los Cabos, Mexico. The 38 acres that we originally acquired was in 2011. We subsequently acquired 5 additional acres to bring our total acquisition to 43 acres. It's been a very collaborative process with the city. We've identified, I think, with the neighbors and with staff and with the Planning Commission issues, and I believe we've negotiated in good faith solution to those issues. And while we're not here today to discuss the larger parcel map, I think you'll find that that same spirit of cooperation extends to the larger parcel map. So my only request today, and it's respectfully made, is that the maps are approved with the conditions that we've agreed upon and in their current form. With that said, I can answer any questions, but I'd also like to introduce John Gamlin, who is a partner of mine in several projects. I've worked with him a long time, and he's been our lead project manager in pushing this project forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Culp on the council? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, council members, mayor, staff. As Graham said, it's been a spirited and long afternoon, so I'll keep it brief here. As Graham said, it's been a very iterative process over the 2 years that the property was acquired. I think that Merriweather closed at the end of 2011 on the property, and even before we closed, we were talking to the staff about schematic planning, and over several iterations and revisions, I think we've captured what the staff wanted to see, but also recently some things that the council was doing and other projects have been incorporated into the larger tract. Obviously, with a 5-acre piece of property, there are some limitations on how creative you can get within the community. I think when the larger parcel comes back, we have really made a focus to try to assemble land in the belief that larger properties are conducive to being able to do some unique things within the community that you can't do in the 5-acre parcels. So in looking at the 5-acre pieces, I think we've spent some time on the landscape design, we've spent some time on the entry design, and in particular with the landscaping, we looked at the value of bringing the retention basins to the front of the community and making the streetscape feel really good as you're going by the community. So we'll look forward to coming back and sharing our ideas for the larger parcel, hopefully to the Planning Commission in September, maybe late September, and then the council in October. with respect to the added conditions, the lift station condition, I think we understand that. We agree that it's the right thing to do in the spirit of what's fair. I don't think there was ever a question in our minds about the fairness argument, and so we're good with that. Point of clarification on the second, on the access condition that Mr. Quintanilla read, there was a comment about the language being worked out, and he said what the owner of the 5-acre parcel was. Is that in reference to us as the owner of or Meriwether as the 5-acre parcel, or is that in reference to the other parcel? Okay, I think that we're in agreement and in concept with the condition. We would like, because we're reacting to it at the podium, we would like within the next day the ability to discuss and understand that better with staff as far as how the patent easements work. If that's okay, we would accept the condition. Okay, that's great. I don't have any other comments. If you have any landscape specific comments, the landscape architect is here. Other than that, we would request approval of these maps, or this map in particular. I guess the next one's coming after.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Come right up. We have Mr. Culp joining us again.
Thank you so much. I failed to mention one thing that I think is very important. We do own property to the south. I've told Mr. Solomon and staff, but I wanted to say it publicly to City Council. It is our intent and our clear action to provide Mr. Solomon access to his property through our property on the south. We've been doing that on a temporary basis across our property since we've owned it. And when we come back with a new map, our intent is to reroute via Florencia so that he has direct access with all the improvements made on our property. So I just wanted to publicly say that. I know that's important to Mr. Solomon. It's certainly important to us as well as good neighbors. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or, okay. Please come down, tell us your name and where you're from.
My name is Janine Durst, and I will be the neighbor across the street. I just would like clarification about the water pressure. They will have to put in improvements because our water pressure is really bad in the neighborhood. So is that in there, Randy?
Okay. Is there someone that can address that?
Yes, but the map cannot be recorded unless the water pressure improvements are installed. Is that right? Correct.
Correct. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can I just clarify that this is all part of the Coachella Valley Water District's project where they're building the 2 new tanks on the north side? That's what's going to allow this development to occur and what's going to improve the pressure and fire flow in that section. So it's not the developer that's going to be doing it, it's the water district's improvements. That's for this pressure zone, it's going to do those improvements. And those are scheduled to be completed by December of next year.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bruce. Are there any other comments from the public? No more comments from the council?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I do. I wish there had been a discussion in here concerning the lot sizes as compared to other lots. But for years, Richard and I have been on the Section 30 subcommittee, and we have never approved more than 9 lots for those 5 acres. And I would move to add a condition deleting 1 lot, leaving it to them to decide and work with staff would be adequate, so it doesn't have to come back to a hearing here if that's permissible. And but this would be a horrible precedent for us to be establishing. We've still got well over half of Section 30 to be developed. Everybody has known that there have only been 9 lots per 5 acres granted anybody, and on these 5-acre plots, and I think it would be getting us into some very dangerous territory and much more crowded conditions for the future of that section, Section 30, and that's the reason that I would move to amend the conditions by adding a condition that they must delete one lot. They can reconfigure it with staff's approval and not require coming back for subsequent approval to the city council.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, could I make a point of clarification? I do have the...
Please come up to the microphone.
Yeah, I do have the lot sizes. The average lot size is about 16,200 square feet. The smallest lot is 15,560. The largest is 18,041 square feet. So there is a range, but the average is over 16,000, almost 16,200 feet. I just wanted to clarify. I think that Mr. Kopp alluded to one of the reasons why maybe there are 10 lots rather than 9, but I just wanted you to have the information. Thank you.
Richard, would you like to make a comment?
No, I'm good with I think Dana's right. We don't want to set a precedent here that we have already established that as these have been developed in the past, they've been 9-lot parcels. And I think that we're going to continue to do that in the future. So this one would certainly be a negative for the section, I think.
Okay. Any other comments?
Other than the fact that probably Section 30 right now is our most active section.
That's right.
And that's where the majority of the activity is going to be during the coming year.
We have a lot of 5-acre parcels.
And there are tons of people that have 5 acres in there.
Well, and the point being well taken is that it's very difficult to say no after you've said yes. And that's what we're facing here.
Right, exactly. So what I would do, Madam Chairman, is I would, let me just tell you what I plan to do, if permitted. I would
So will you make this in the form of a
well,
motion?
I will, but let me just say what it's going to encompass. I would move to approve the assessment case and tentative track numbers here, add the amendments that reflect the relationship between the developer and the Solomon interests, and add an additional condition. Maybe I should give it a number. Can you help me find an appropriate number there, Steve?
Well, actually, that's the project itself. So if you just reduce it to 9, you don't have to have a condition. Just
don't have to make it a condition. Yeah. We'll approve it subject to 9 lots being approved. I mean,
not coming back to the staff.
Yeah.
I mean, not coming back to the council.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then I would move, Madam Chairman, that we approve environmental assessment case number EA 1300007 and tentative track map number 36621, which is a request to subdivide approximately 5 gross acres into 9. Yeah, here's where I'll make that change. Into 9 single-family lots and other common lots for a private street, stormwater retention basins, and open space areas on property located at 34916 Via Josefina in Section 30, referencing applicant RM38JV LLC, care of Meriwether Companies, with the additional 2 amendments submitted by the city attorney that respect the Solomon interests with respect to the lift station and access to a lot that Peter Solomon owns.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And for clarification, this is the applicant is not required to come back to the city council or the planning commission to make those changes to accommodate a decrease in the number of single family.
Correct, subject to staff approval.
Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem, if I can articulate an added finding number 10, which I think you talked about, but we should formally put that in the report as a result.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 11-50. And the additional finding would be that the reduction from 10 lots to 9 lots would allow the project to be more compatible with the average lot size and past approvals in Section 30.
using those exact words, that I would add finding number 10 in the manner stated specifically by City Manager Binder.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
think
Please
we-
vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay. All right, moving on to item number 12.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Greg will make this presentation as well.
Yes, tentative tract map 36622 is a 9-lot single-family subdivision on 5 acres at 72370 Via Florencia, and this property is to the southwest of your last application. Site has street frontages on Via Josefina, Ginger Rogers Road, and Via Florencia, an area designed for 2 dwelling units per acre. This property is annexed into the city in 1994. Slide 3 is a photo taken from Ginger Rogers Road looking south across the vacant parcel. The applicant acquired the property in 2011. Slide 4 is another shot from Ginger Rogers Road. There are about 32 vacant 5-acre parcels in Section 30, although some are entitled, as noted in the last hearing. The applicant controls 9 5-acre parcels surrounding the equestrian riding complex. To the north of the site, across Ginger Rogers Road, is our 1-acre state residential homes. One was built in 1996. Across Via Josefina is the equestrian riding facility. To the south of Via Florencia is a 1950s home on 5 acres. Rural street improvements exist at this time in this area. 9-lot subdivision proposed with a private cul-de-sac or street lot A. Access to the tract is from Via Florencia, a designated public street. The lots range from 15,013 to 15,318 square feet and generally measure 118 by 127 feet. Lots B and C are for on-site retention purposes. As shown, the grading is consistent with the abutting lots.
Greg, excuse me for 1 minute. What was the size of the lots again?
They're basically just above the minimum, so they're 15,013 to 15,318 square feet. Now, this property has 3 street frontages. Initially, it had 10 lots. They dropped it down to 9 on the revision, but as noted, the lots are right around basically averaging 15,000 square feet, which would be the minimum for the RL2 zone. But this property also, as Bud mentioned at the previous hearing, will have a lot of off-site improvements to do all the street work, water, sewer, etc. The planting schedule is similar to the last plan, although a little bit different. They're using different street trees, different design at the front. Again, you're going to see the pavers at the beginning and also on the cul-de-sac bulb. So similar, different plant materials. And the design of the front fence is going to be different as well. So the projects, although both small subdivisions, will in fact look different when completed. This particular exhibit shows again the payment area for the sewer assessment, and this property is in the boundary, number 28. So there is a condition, number 36, requiring payment for that use of that facility. So this property is different from the last one, where it actually has an assessment already put in place. Again, the property is affected by the water pressure. So hopefully the project improvements will go in, as Mr. Harry indicated, by the Water District and possibly the applicant can acquire building permits before December 2015, which is the target date of the district. So it's basically a wait and see. So they're obligated to have those improvements in place to get their map to move forward. Again, this property, we did the expanded noticing, 1,000 feet. Most of the residents that came in supported the project as designed. So therefore, pursuant to the Planning Commission's recommendation of July 10th, the staff is recommending that the City Council approve the project as presented, both the environmental and the tentative track map, subject to the conditions and findings as noted.
Okay. Does council have any questions of staff?
Can you understand higher than this 25%?
No questions?
I do. When you say the December of 2015, that means what, that the improvements are in, but the development wouldn't start until when? These two?
Well, the letters that we received from the Water District indicate that these developers cannot get permits until the trunk line is put in place in Section 30, and their projected target date for that arrival would be December 2015. However, so they know that date, so in essence, they can work on their improvement. So with an entitlement, if you had an entitlement today, they'll probably start working on their improvement plans. However, they cannot get signed improvement plans until the Water District signs off on the availability of water for the project. So it's they basically could start their plans, do them at risk, but they won't be getting any sign-offs till sometime around that time period.
Well, unless there's a will serve letter.
Correct. If they receive a will serve letter before that time, then that would let them move forward. Correct.
Right.
So if the improvements were done tomorrow, they come in the day after and start working.
Right.
Thank you.
Greg, could you go back to the landscape plan again? The showing the, okay, that's the one.
So again, this has the retention basins, instead of being inside the project, I think you've seen some projects in the last 2 years where the retention basins were actually at the back by the cul-de-sac bulb. This lot drains from north to south, so therefore the lots in question and the progression for infrastructure, they're prioritizing Via Florencia. So their drainage area would be along Via Florencia, similar to the last project, except theirs was on Via Josefina. So they're establishing the street tree program, and then they have the desertscape program in front. And then the bottom slide shows the open fencing that the council desires along the public right-of-way. It's going to be a little bit further back, I think about 80 feet, but that's something, the decorative walls, pilasters, a variety of landscape, all these things have been requested by council and are part of this particular plan.
Thank you.
Greg, do we have any requirements of homeowners or the developer at this point to have any grassy areas? Or are they eliminating most of that with the water conservation?
They haven't brought in so for the perimeter, it's a desertscape plan. The houses haven't come in. They can either bring in a PDP application or they could bring in custom single-family homes. Either way, it requires review by the Planning Commission and City Council. Lately, there's been some discussion with the Planning Commission and ARB about not allowing lawn in the front yards. Some developers are favorable to that. Others want, say, 23%, which is about the most you can have with the Water District calculations. So in essence, really, we actually prioritize the front yards. The backyards at this time are unregulated, so somebody can actually have turf in their rear yard. But in the future, if the water district changes their regulations or the price of water goes up, those kind of things may be going away in the future, but it's an unregulated item at this time.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments. And would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion for consideration of environmental assessment case number EA 13008 and tentative track map number 36622. The request to subdivide 5 gross acres into 9 single-family lots and other common lots for a private street, stormwater retention, basins, and open space areas on property located at 72-370 Via Florencia in Section 30, applicant RM38JV LLC, care of Meriwether Companies.
Okay, so you are making a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion, but Ted, you left out one of the zeros in the
Did
case
I?
number.
You did.
3000000.
Okay, add a zero if you would.
Okay.
Okay. And just to repeat, that the City Council is being asked to approve, number 1, the filing of a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact based on environmental assessment case number EA 130008, and number 2, approval of tentative track map case number TTM 36622, subject to the conditions of approval and based on the findings and content of this staff report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, everyone vote, please. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, and now moving on to the action part of our agenda. And may we have a staff report, please? This is item number 13, and it will be presented or talked about originally from Randy or possibly Bruce Harry or Isaiah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Isaiah will make this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Binder. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, the attached joint resolution before you today would amend the purchasing procedures policy to allow the city and its affiliated agencies to contract for the purchase of goods, materials, equipment, and services at prices previously procured on a competitive basis by another local government agency. This is commonly referred to as piggybacking. The City Council recently approved piggybacking on Public Works construction contracts by amending Chapter 3.34 of the Rancho Mirage Municipal Code. The reason that you're seeing it again is the purchasing procedures policy covers all types of purchases except construction contracts. By piggybacking, the city and its affiliated agencies could dispense with the RFP procedures so long as such prices are lower than the prices that can be obtained by the city and its affiliated agencies through their RFP process, and so long as certain findings are made by the applicable department head with the consent of the city manager. The findings outlined on pages 13-3 and 13-4 of the staff report were designed after the findings implemented into Chapter 3.34 of the Rancho Mirage Municipal Code. The most practical application for the amendment to the purchasing policy procedure allowing piggybacking would be for the purchase of vehicles and equipment. Larger agencies, such as a county, for example, often get better prices on vehicles due to economies of scale. So when the city considers the purchase of a vehicle, this would allow them to consider the prices that can be obtained by other local agencies to determine if it's better than the price the city can get on its own. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you, Isaiah. Do any council members have any questions for Isaiah? or comments regarding this item? Okay, anybody from the public would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comments, and someone would make a motion?
I will make a motion.
Okay.
I motion that the City Council and Board of Directors of the city affiliated agencies approve the attached joint resolution approving amendment of the purchasing procedure policy, permitting the city to dispense with formal requests for proposals, procedures via solicitation for bids on the open market by authorizing the city and its affiliated agencies to contract for purchases of goods, materials, equipment, and services at prices previously procured on a competitive basis by another local government agency, sometimes referred to as piggybacking.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second? We have a second? Okay, please cast your vote. And motion passes 5-0. Thank you so much, and thank you, Isaiah. And thank you, Charlie.
It was a long one.
It was.
My first.
I know you've done good.
It's almost as good as I do.
Okay. Okay. All right. So moving right along to item number 14. And this is an item that is going to be presented, I believe, by Bruce Harry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the council. Staff is requesting today the City Council approve a modification to the already approved design, build, and maintenance agreement for the photovoltaic system and carports with Nobel Energy Solutions for the Rancho Mirage Library. Subsequent to the June 19th City Council approved agreement, and during efforts to finalize and execute the agreement, several issues arose that necessitated modification to the agreement. Specifically, the agreement required a modification to clearly identify certain city pre-purchase project materials and equipment and the associated responsibilities of the parties. It was determined that pre-purchasing materials and equipment by the city will mitigate any associated risk with timely procurement and delivery as to not affect the project delivery schedule. In addition, the city pre-purchasing by the city pre-purchasing certain project materials and equipment directly from the vendors will provide the additional benefit of reducing the bonding cost for Nobel, resulting in a cost reduction to the city since the bonding premium costs are passed through to the city. As a result of these modifications, the Nobel cost to construct the improvements and incorporate the city's pre-purchased materials into the project will not exceed $1,700,733. On page 14-3 of my staff report is a table identifying the total project costs. The city's cost for pre-purchased materials and equipment is estimated at $835,067. The total project budget is $2.945 million, which includes a project contingency in the amount of $192,000. Successor agency bond proceeds in the amount of $3 million have already been budgeted for this project. Based on the proposed agreement modifications, staff viewed the modifications as substantial changes to the previously approved agreement by the City Council on June 19th, and therefore the reason why this item is being presented to you today for approval. Staff requests that the City Council approve the modifications for the design, build, and maintenance agreement for the photovoltaic system and carports with Nobel Energy Solutions and authorize the City Attorney's Office to finalize the agreement as necessary. That concludes my staff report, and I'm here to answer any questions, as is Fred Nova with Nobel Energy Solutions.
Cost difference, if any, to the city?
What, Dana, ask.
Bruce, what is the net cost or savings, if any, to the city as a result of this modification?
Basically, it would be just in the bond cost, Councilman, or Mayor Pro Tem. The materials we're getting at the same cost that Nobel would be able to get the materials from. We're buying them through their vendors. So
essentially, no change.
Very little change. That's correct.
That's what I wanted to hear you say.
Okay. Richard?
Bruce, can you describe how we can buy the product cheaper than Nobel buys it?
We are not buying the product cheaper than Nobel. We're buying them through their vendors that they've already have agreements with to get the best price for these materials. What we're trying to do here is pre-purchase the materials in advance so we can get the materials on hand rather than the contractor having to get them and then wait to be paid for them until he incorporates them into the work. So this way we're able to get the materials on hand. He will store them, secure them, and then incorporate them in the work so we have no delays where he would order the materials later on because it's an out-of-pocket cost to him.
Is there any reason we should be doing a competitive bid on this?
We decided to do this to design build because this is the contractor that we've used for the last two projects. Right. They're also going to be maintaining. We're using like systems, and this is in our best interest to stay consistent with the systems that we have currently.
Okay, and the comment in there about Nobel not having a state contractor's license, how does that affect the project?
Nobel will be acting as the construction manager. They have partners who have the proper license that will install these. They basically act as the construction manager. The same that we've done with the other projects. There's a company called Tiger Electric, which has the licensing that actually will do the photovoltaic system, and they have a contractor that will install the structural carports. And they work for Nobel, and they have the proper licenses to do this work.
Tiger works for Nobel. Are they part of Nobel?
No.
They are not. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Bruce.
But, Bruce, that's a pretty common structure, is it not? Where, the management entity is not licensed and the construction active partner is.
Yeah, there's numerous ways to build projects. You could hire construction managers, do them as fixed fee. You can do them as builder at risk. There's multiple ways, and this is one of those ways to do it, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. That's it. Charlie, any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your questions. You made it very clear now, in case any of the audience members were not clear. So, anyone from the audience have any questions? Okay. All right. Well, close those comments and move on to a motion.
I'll make a motion that that the City Council approve modification of the design, build, and maintenance agreement for volcanics system and carports with Nobel Energy Solutions, LLC, and authorize the City Attorney's Office to finalize as necessary.
Okay. May I have a second?
What was that word?
The word is as finalized as necessary.
Oh, okay.
I'll second that.
Okay.
It's just getting late, isn't it?
It is. All right. There are no further comments or questions. Please cast your vote. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much, and thank you all for making it crystal clear. Okay, moving on to item number 15. And I believe we have David Bryant here from our library director, and he is going to tell us all about this next item.
Mayor Smotrich, members of the library board, today you have before you what we think, we being, well, yours truly, my staff, as well as the Library Advisory Commission, a solution to a problem that really emerged this past season. We have at the library over 200 programs per year. Approximately 24 of those are very, very popular. They're so popular that the attendance exceeds the space available to our audience. We heard a number of complaints this season from our residents, Rancho Mirage residents, that they could not attend our programs because the auditorium, the community room was full by the time they got there. So we bring before you an idea that would actually create Rancho Mirage seating, and then at a certain time, as we await the beginning of the program, we would open the doors to non-residents as well. But we would actually be trying to help our residents get the best seating, as bluntly as I can put it. This city spends $172 per capita per resident per year for the best library in the Coachella Valley and easily one of the best in the state of California. The Library Foundation adds another $18 per capita. We're talking about nearly $200 expenditure for library service from this extraordinary institution for our residents. It really is troubling to hear that those residents, when they arrive at a program, and perhaps they've gotten there at half hour before the start time, Marx Brothers being an example, the centennial of the Marx Brothers, hugely successful. We had to send people away, and that's for safety reasons. And too often, those people being sent away live in our city. So we bring this problem to you with what I think is a pretty good solution, and that is to come up with a card system, a gold card, that would be presented to all of our residents in lieu of a library card. It would actually be a functioning library card, but it would look, we want it to look as elegant as possible, to really speak to the values and quality of life in Rancho Mirage. And Rancho Mirage residents would have a gold card for library use. That would whisk them into our big programs. We're really only talking about 24 out of about 200 or more programs per year. And those folks would get in first, have the best seats, then we'd open the doors to non-residents. That's what we bring before you. The staff report makes mention of a $5 fee for non-residents as well, and that's for all of you to ponder. But that's the crux of what we're presenting to you today.
Thank you so much, David. All right.
Question, David. In setting aside the seats, how do we know how many seats to set aside for library members and all those people that are waiting outside that are not residents? How are their seating handled?
The estimate that we have, my polling of audiences has been that if we, and the number is really not important, it's the ratio. If we have 350 in the auditorium, 360, 2/3 of those are non-residents, approximately a third are. To your point, I'm estimating that we should put aside at least 50% of our seats for our residents. And then as the clock ticks closer to the beginning of the program, what we would do is open all the seats to everyone. Let's say if a program is at 7 p.m., at 6:45, we'd open the doors to everyone, resident or non-resident.
So setting aside 50%, if all of a sudden we're 75% seating, do all of the residents, do they all get a seat, regardless of what time they get there?
No, we would have and this is some of the fine tuning that may be necessary. I think we could easily establish a time, and it would be, to me, quarter to the hour of the beginning. That is 6:45 for a 7 p.m. show. At 6:45, doors open to everyone. We've allowed Rancho Mirage people in first to get the best seats. And then at 6:45, we open the doors, and whomever arrives gets the remaining seats, regardless of their zip code or their residence.
So if we set aside, say, 150 seats in the beginning, and 100 of those seats are filled going into where we're going to open it up to everybody, do the non-residents then get to sit in the gold seats?
I think that's fair at that point. I think at I think that would function perfectly. What I want to make happen, Councilmember Kite, is something that works well for our staff and our volunteers. Our ushers are, well, they're trained to an extent, but let's face it, they're basically nice people trying to keep peace and making sure people get the best seat possible. But what I want to do is streamline that, so at 6:45, I think if we open the doors, we've been as fair as we can be. If a Rancho Mirage resident gets there between 6 and 6:45, great, they'll get a good seat. If they come after that, the seats are fair game. I think that's fair. I don't know if you'll agree with that.
Okay.
I do. Thank you.
I do have a question. Was the $5 to deter people from coming or to raise money?
The $5 was to give a signal, give a message to our non-residents that this library is extraordinarily expensive to run in some ways, well-funded, and that these performances they're seeing have a value, and perhaps it's a monetary value. That $5 figure was recommended by the Library Advisory Commission. I don't think I'm wedded to it, and I know our staff is not, because frankly, it would become somewhat problematic to either harvest the $5 bills or set up a ticketing system online that would use credit cards, et cetera. somewhat cumbersome.
It's not to try to defer people from coming so that you will not have the seating problem.
Oh, not at all. I mean, we want to fill the house. We want to continue to get great programs that draw great attention and fill the house. But we want to manage how we fill the house and give our residents the best shot at the best seats.
Yes, Dana.
David and I have been speaking about it and have the same issue that Richard has. What I will suggest in a few moments is a resolution that states words to the following effect as a counter to the $5 charge, which I think many of us may find distasteful at best.
Counterproductive.
And counterproductive. I would offer a resolution that says something along these lines. Up until 15 minutes before the start of any public program held in the community room of the Rancho Mirage Library, the closest or nearest 75% of rows of seating shall be reserved for Rancho Mirage residents showing adequate identification, such as a gold card, for example. Thereafter, any attendee may sit in any unoccupied seat at such programs. That, I think, solves the problem of Rancho Mirage residents not having a priority. It also eliminates the need for us to raise money, and I don't think that the library has hit the impecunious stage yet where we have to raise money to additionally pay for some of our programs. But
we are not impecunious. Oh, now I spelled it up. I was going to say we're not impecunious yet. We are photovoltaic.
Well, we're okay for a while. Okay. We're okay for a while. And so I think that if we have that in our minds as competing thoughts, so that if for others who feel, as I do and others, that getting away from the idea of charging a fee can be accomplished and also satisfy the need of our residents to have some kind of a seating priority, it seems to me to be an easy way to do it and avoiding the need for a charge.
Well, that definitely solves the problem in terms of our having to, again, take the $5 bills, whatever. The only, you had mentioned in your thought that any program, it's really only these big programs.
We should hone that to whatever is real.
Just the couple of dozen per year, the really big programs that we can identify.
In the decision-making of the library staff.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
They could call the ones that...
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, David, I think one of the things we may run into if we did start charging, we may not have the capacity problems that we had before. I think a lot of those people that are willing to show up for no fee may not be willing to pay the cost of a good program. So you may eliminate some of your overcrowding if we started charging a fee.
And husband and wife, that's $10, and that could be a deterrent for a good number of people.
Yeah. Undoubtedly it would be. And that certainly isn't our goal. Our goal is not to diminish the audience. Our goal is to make sure our residents get the best seats.
Yeah.
And I think we have to make clear also the fact that where you list down here a number of things, I think these people should also be included in the gold card, which are the library volunteers, the city volunteers, lifetime members of the Library Foundation, and Library Foundation donors at a level to be determined. Because those are the people who really support our library programs and donate on a regular basis.
And they may not be residents, you're saying?
They may not be residents. And so
We do have
therefore,
volunteers that do not live in town. We have donors who do not live in town. So I think that's very important to include them in the Gold Card program.
Yes, and so I think they should be included in the Gold Card program. But I think it's also misleading to say that we're going to give the best seats to the Rancho Mirage people. I can't tell you how many times I come in there and the auditorium is empty. I'm there very early, and I watch people come in, and many people don't want to sit in the very front. They want to sit in the middle. They want to sit in the back. If they have to get up and leave early, they don't want to have it distracting to anyone. So I don't know if you're planning to block out X amount of rows and say this is for Rancho Mirage residents, or you're just going to let the residents in, or the gold card holders in first, let them take whatever seat they want, And then when 15 minutes before a performance, the rest of the people that do not have the gold cards would be allowed to take whatever seats are available. And I know myself, and there's people in this audience here who tried to get into shows. In fact, it was the John Adams show, and we were able to get there early. We were able to get seats. Some of these people, you have to realize, get there an hour early. And I don't think that's something that we should be expecting our residents to do. So that will certainly solve that problem. But when I'm standing out in a parking lot and I'm waving people on and saying, don't even bother looking for a parking space, there are none and there are no seats inside, I think we're doing our residents a great disservice, and also our donors and the volunteers that help us so greatly. So I think that having those people have a gold card certainly will show that those are the people that are so meaningful to us. And it's expensive to run that library. And we all appreciate the work you're doing. So I would like to add...
Nobody would have to take a front seat.
No.
Exactly.
A resident could sit anywhere the resident wanted.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted you to clarify.
The top 75% would be reserved up till 15 minutes before. Right. Residents could be all over the place. And then after that, anybody can take any seat.
So you're not going to be blocking off
No,
a certain
Well, we
section
will mark that, as Mr. Hobart is mentioning, the better seats. We're going to mark those off.
So you are going to designate
But that doesn't mean that our gold card gets you necessarily. It's still freedom of choice.
Okay.
Many people like to sit near the door, frankly, because they say, well, if it's a clunker, I can get out of here.
Right.
I mean, that's really the case.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay.
Nobody gets the rear right corner seat except me.
Okay. So
we'll make that happen.
So David, does the gold card also include valet parking, or?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
But, it's expansive. The future is to be known. We'll
The
find
gold
out.
card would include the people that the mayor has just identified, the volunteers, the people who are substantial contributors,
Absolutely.
that sort of thing. They would have gold cards regardless of where they resided.
Yes, and the interesting thing about our programming now, virtually all of our programs are funded by the Library Foundation, which means that they are funded by private donors. So it's a perfect fit.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions of David? Any questions from the audience? Okay, we have one questioner coming on down. We have two.
Two questioners, come on down.
Okay.
Let them fight to see who goes first.
You look familiar.
Sure, I still live in Rancho Mirage. I don't have really a question. I just want to lend my support to what the mayor had suggested and what David. I'm wholly in favor of the gold card for Rancho Mirage residents, but I think that as a practical matter, letting them in before everyone else and letting them choose whatever seats they want will solve the problem without having to rope off any special seats. If they want to sit in the front row, well, the front row will be empty when they come in. If they want to sit in the back row, like some of the people I know here, including myself, the back row seats will be available. So anyway, I wholly support the idea.
Thank you. Thank you. And there's one more. Thank you for joining us. Maybe you could tell us your name and where you live?
Paul Skipper, Rancho Mirage.
Okay.
I support this gentleman's echo of the mayor's support for this program. I didn't get into the Marx Brothers with great dismay because I was summarily told that I couldn't get in and the doors were locked. So I'm in total support of this proposition. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No further comments? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comments and ask for a motion.
Well, I would move, Madam Chairman, that we pass a resolution that states it can be modified slightly afterwards based on the substance of our conversations, I would think, that up until 15 minutes before the start of those programs determined by the library director and his staff to be held in the community room of the public library shall be reserved for Rancho Mirage residents and others in categories approved by the city staff. showing adequate identification. Thereafter, any attendee may sit in any unoccupied seat at such programs. And that's the end of the motion. And parenthetically, I would say that clearly a resident that doesn't want to sit in the front 75% can sit wherever he or she wishes.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Okay, the motion passes 5-0, and that was the last item, I believe, on, on our agenda.
Let's go back to the consent agenda.
Okay, do that again. Okay, so before we adjourn, our City Attorney Steve Quintanilla will announce the closed session items.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council is now going to recess in closed session to confer with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 regarding an unknown number of potential cases.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steve. So it looks like we are now finished with the Rancho Mirage City Council business for July 31st. This meeting is now adjourned, and thank you so much for attending. Hope to see you next time.